Right, hello everyone. Welcome to the 15th episode of Tosh News, where we go through the big news stories of the week. And once again, there's about 6 articles to have a go at Labour at, so I hope we're all looking forward to it. I've also been told I'm late by Alan. No, I was on time. If I meant to start 15 seconds after 9, so I am on time. Um, Right, on the panel, it's the usual Cero and Tharium, and the special guest today is Joz, who's gracing us with our presence. Hello, Joz. How are you doing?
I'm happy to be a special guest. I guess it's been a while since I've been here without a PowerPoint to give you guys.
It's true. You can react this time rather than tell us how I don't know women are terrible or how
No,
how the
my
deep
thesis was that women are rational, which is not a normal thesis.
which isn't normal for the online, right? Is it? Um, and all right. And the deep state hates you. How's that?
That's true. That's correct.
Anyway.
Because you're too powerful.
Exactly. Um. Anyway, and yes, hello, Sarah and Tharium.
Hello.
Hello there.
Okay. Well, first off, it's the meme. It's not really a meme. I just ripped a cartoon off the Times. Josh, you can see it in the other side of the hill. It's Nigel Farage everywhere in Keir Starmer's head.
Oh,
After that,
that's a horrible picture.
he's even Nigel's even the clock. He's the little clock behind on the mantelpiece. This is obviously a reference to Keir Starmer's big old speech in St Anne's in the northwest, trying to show his working class cred. I think he was trying to do, and I think the most memorable line from that, Jules, tell me if you can believe this really happened. But his most memorable line was he was asked, "Why does a public schoolboy like Farage seem to get on with the working class better than you?" And he said, "Oh, I know what it's like working 10 hours a day at a factory. My dad did it."
That's
My toolmaker dad.
oh my Christ. A couple of things. One, for anyone watching, the reason they're singling me out is that I've been away for a few weeks.
Yes.
So I've got no idea what's been happening. Everybody fill me in. And two, I genuinely didn't realise everyone else in that cartoon was Farage.
Oh yeah. Because
I had to look again to notice that they were all nice.
well, it's like I think the one touching him is supposed to be Angela Rayner. Oh no, maybe the one on the left's Angela Rayner.
Well,
That's
he's having
Rachel
you know when you
Reeves.
wake up from a dream and somebody's talking to you, like
Yeah.
the trope is that somebody in the dream talks to you in their voice,
Yeah.
which I guess is what's happening here.
Well, it's just the fact he's worried about Farage, obviously, because of all the polls. With in pretty much every poll bar a couple, Reform are on 30% or over, and Labour are low 20s usually. Tories are probably single digits. I don't know. I am exaggerating that.
Harriet, can you
Yeah.
remember off the top of your head how many times he mentioned Farage in the one interview
So
that wasn't about Farage?
so it was technically 17, but technically, not technically. A lot of the time for that is because every single journalist was asking him about Farage, so I don't like counting it like that. However, in the speech alone, he was mentioned 7 times, and the speech was 6 minutes long, so he mentioned him more than once a minute. Just unprompted.
Impressive.
Yeah. So this is why
the
everyone's
leader of a
making
party
fun.
with 5 MPs, is it, or 4 or 5 MPs?
5 now. They got a fifth one back. They won a Runcorn. They lost low. Got the Cheshire Housewives nationalist vote in Sarah poaching. So
What was I going to say? Have they started? Labour have started like proposing wild like red meat policies.
yeah,
Have they? Because I remember I saw something about them wanting to
No,
like castrate paedophiles or something,
oh, that's not how. That was voluntary.
which
I
never was
think.
going to happen. But I saw that come out and I was like, what the hell?
I think that was one of those red meat things, and also I don't think it's happening because I think it's going to be voluntary anyway, and I don't know anyone that would voluntarily be chemically castrated.
Well,
if the offer was you get some time off your sentence, they might get some uptake.
I mean, there's this whole like trope of the sort of ethical paedophile that
Yeah.
doesn't act
Yeah.
on it, and maybe if you believe that, then you could kind of rationalize the idea that somebody might see it as a curse and want to get rid of it. But that's all I
And
can
they-
really think of as an explanation.
And they do that by castrating them. Oh god.
I'm not sure if but hasn't it been pretty trendy recently to chemically castrate yourself?
I don't.
Oh, sorry, too soon.
I don't want to comment on that specifically. I believe
It'll
Well,
have
okay,
a big
my
up,
bad.
it'll have a
I believe
big
there's
uptick in the women's prison.
I believe there's other
That is a good point.
I believe there's other trends associated with that are correlated, but I don't want to get all to stone toss. Anyway, international news. Musk got kicked out of the White House, out of the Oval Office, out of the regime, whatever. He did his job, and Doge didn't do very well, from what I can tell.
Well, no, they did. They lost. They did get make a lot of savings, but the problem is then the politicians went, "Oh, we've now got 500 billion to spend on all these other things," rather than not spending the 500 billion that you just saved.
Well, clearly, he should have watched Yes Minister, where I think the joke effectively goes: you can't tell the Treasury what to do because they have all the power and fund you. So the Treasury just want taxes up all the time to get more power, and then they'll decide what to do with the money once they have it. That's
I feel like that's-
exactly what's happened.
That just makes me think of either corpo or just anything public sector. It's just like, how do we spend our money so that our budget doesn't get cut? You know, just anything doesn't really matter what you're doing. Like it's just like you know, my wife was driving one time and sort of said, you know, why are all these cones just left out here? And I'm like, you know what? The cynic in me just says someone's budget didn't want to get cut. That's why you just got cones anywhere. Sorry.
Was it in March or whatever the month is before they?
I mean, I see it pretty regularly, so I couldn't tell you exactly which time I'm thinking, but.
I was going to say, I think reading when I used to read more of Dominic Cummings.
Oh, I see what you mean now. March, yeah, just before the quarter, yeah.
the year resets, but I think Cummings is particularly sort of scathing towards the UK Treasury and like, why is it being staffed by teenagers with an economics degree?
Jaws,
Yeah.
Jaws, I hate to say it, you just said UK, not Britain or British.
But is it not known as? Is it not?
It,
the UK Treasury.
Well, I know, but you hate saying UK, don't you?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I'm using the actual name. Fine, His Majesty's Treasury.
There we go. HMRC is Maju's revenue. Oh, that's just tax. I don't know. I don't really care. I was just trying to catch you out.
The Treasury, then.
Yeah,
no, I seem to remember him particularly singling them out multiple times as being like uniquely retarded.
There's a new Dominic Cummings blog, which I suggest as a.
Is it a free one?
Yeah, I
I'll
suggest
probably
as a
read it
topic
tomorrow
for the
then.
next stream.
I'll probably read it tomorrow then. That sounds good.
Oh, and you'll be on Tosh Talks next time, no doubt, if you like it enough. What was other international news? Oh yeah, Russia got dabbed on in quite a modern warfare way.
That was clever, yeah.
So, long story short, 40 Russian bombers are just destroyed on the tarmac because Ukraine snuck a load of drones over and then effectively just drone swarmed them. I think it's pretty much what happened. But you know
So
more
how
detail.
they did it was they had lorries,
Yeah.
and in the backs of the lorries they had these fake roofs with compartments cut out for the drones, and so they got these lorries through the border, and then they drove them up to the airfield, and then the roof comes off, and the hidden compartment, all the drones fly out.
And then it's just
What, are they autonomous or remotely?
No, they were controlled, and they were. I think they had had fiber optic cables on them, so it's like you can't jam them because they've got a hard
right.
connection.
Oh, weird. So presumably they
So-
only have a pretty limited range then.
Yeah, so that's why they had to drive up close. I mean, it's probably it's still like a couple of miles. I think probably you can. These cables can drag out quite a while, but yeah. So but any sort of anti-jamming stuff that the Russians had just wouldn't work on them.
Incredible.
It's mad that they've gone to bombs on the end of strings.
I think-
mad that there's actual real tech.
In the old
Yeeting bombs.
in the old days, we just strapped bombs to pigeons. These days, it's
I think they went
some
after
drones.
their navy as well. There's some Navy targets hit as well, I think.
So these were attacks within Russia.
Yeah, this
In
was in
Russia, yeah.
Russia borders.
Quite deep, yeah.
Remember when
I
the
mean-
story? Remember when the story was Kiev would like be down in a week or something? That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was that 30-mile convoy or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was 3 years ago, and now Ukraine are doing deep strikes into Russia and destroying 40
Is
planes.
that not
in
going to cause
one
some sort of
strike.
escalation?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what some people are saying.
Escalate what? They've took out
is
most of their bombers.
Well, I mean,
I know they'll have
not-
more.
Russia isn't doing a full mobilization and hasn't so
Yeah.
far. Like, if it actually officially declared
they-
war nation to nation, then that's pretty big.
They did start dropping some bombs on Kiev in response, obviously. So there is that. But it's like, it is the point like, well, being peaceful hasn't exactly worked for...
No, from Ukraine's point of view, I get
Yeah.
it. I'm just from the world's point of view.
Yeah,
like,
and that's
Russia
what
isn't-
some people...
Russia
that's what
isn't
some people
trying
are
as hard
saying.
as Ukraine is, say.
That's what some people are saying. It's like, oh, that was really silly. Now Russia's going to retaliate. It's just like, they've already invaded, mate. George Galloway described it as this is like Ukraine doing a Pearl Harbor on Russia. It's like
What?
I don't think it is. But...
It's more like America doing an Okinawa. It's
Yeah.
like we're quite deep into this war. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Modern Warfare's got quite interesting. I mean, the other one I cited in a tweet was Israel with the pages. That was ages ago, obviously, but that was...
I mean, that was more of an intelligence op than a military one, I'd say.
I mean, they took out most of Hezbollah.
But you know what I mean. That's like spy shit rather than more battlefield stuff.
Yeah, it's sort of it's the kind of stuff I was talking about in that
Yeah.
deep state stream. That it's all shell companies and sort of industrial stuff as well as military, because they had to like trick was it Hezbollah into buying from a certain company, which was a shell company of a shell company that was owned by Mossad or whatever.
Yeah, and they kept buying the pages, and they were all Israeli and had bombs in them that took off.
Yeah, and then they sent them off. There was a reason why they set them off all at the same time, or at that particular moment. I can't remember what it was.
I think they knew there was a meeting going on with Hezbollah's top brass.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, then there were people in the street who had their nads blown off as well.
Was there a video of one in the supermarket?
Yeah.
There was one in the supermarket. There was one like in an alleyway as well. Yeah. There were quite a few.
I like the supermarket one because there's this guy who's just sort of like wanders over and is like looking at him like, "Oh, are you okay?"
No, I've had my testicles blown
and
off.
rolling on the ground,
and his testicles are rolling down the aisle 4 next to pickled eggs.
The Jews have vaporized my balls.
Anyway. And the Dutch government has fallen within a year because Geert Wilders wasn't happy that he wasn't getting compromise on, he would have to compromise too much on immigration.
I don't think he even was being asked to compromise that much. I saw a few people talking about it, and it seems like he's just being a retard.
I will once again bring up the William the Bonker famous tweet: right wingers are all low IQ, left wingers are all mentally ill, and Geert Wilders might be very much in the
I think it was
correct
Maximus
camp.
or somebody like that was talking about it.
I didn't really concentrate, to be honest. But well, you can look for it. But for now, I will. Speaking of war, we'll talk about what Britain's all about. So, tax rises loom to put Britain on a war footing. A bigger army, more reservists, and urgent research into new WMD threats are promised as Keir Starmer pledges to make the nation battle ready. So,
What's upsetting is we are already at wartime taxation levels.
Oh, I keep making this point as well, and debt levels. We don't usually have debt levels above like 50% of GDP unless we're at war or recovering from one. The only times before we've been above like 60% debt and not in a recovery state was World War II. The one time before that was World War One, and then the time before that when we were at debt of 270% was the Napoleonic War. where we kicked the French's arse. And yeah, now we're at a point where we didn't have a war. Okay, we had a market crash in 2008. Okay, you had a worldwide pandemic, but you wouldn't expect to be basically your entire economy in debt, would you? But there you go.
Whenever you say battle ready, it just makes me think of the Games Workshop color scheme minimum guideline.
You're a massive nerd, man.
That's our soldiers need at least 3 colors on their uniform. Okay,
and something on the base.
I completely get the reference. Completely get
and
the
something
reference.
on the base.
Terrible.
Well, I was going to say something serious. Yeah, the whole like, obviously after World War II, we had a lot of aid and everything, and even then we didn't do anything with it other than make the NHS. Even after World War One, Germany recovered in a few years. Shouldn't take it.
Let me tell you,
2008 was nearly 20 years ago.
Yeah, let me tell you how much I hate Clement Atley. Right, he gave the Russians the plans to jet engines for nothing in return. This was like so suspicious to Stalin that he was like, they might be fake. Like, be ready. He couldn't believe it.
It was a huge deal because the Russians before that were using German jet technology.
Yeah,
and the German jets were absolute shit. And so I had the MiG-9 before, which was based on this, terrible. And then with the Rolls-Royce Neen engine, which they gave them, they made the MiG-15, which was absolutely the top tier jet of its time.
Yeah,
it's kind of mad when you think about it. That like, I guess I often think about it with the internet that we haven't actually had it that long. But if you think about it also with like jet engines, it's like what we've had it for less than 100 years. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the first plane went in the air, and then 60 years later, we were on the moon. Technology can be rapid. We've just been in an idiot economy where competition's frowned upon.
From the Spitfire to the Concorde is like 30 years or something.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Concorde's probably not the best example, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, supersonic jet.
Just within the Second World War, you go from biplanes still being used to jets.
Yeah,
I think that's what I was thinking of, where it's like, you literally start off with propellers. Well, I guess you still have propellers, but you know what I mean.
I mean, you play Battlefield 1 and then any Battlefield 2 game, and then bear in mind Battlefield 1, 90% of the guns are experimental, never existed, just so you feel like you're playing a game, a modern shooter game. Yeah, it's still mad how different they are. So, Britain faces a new era of threat, including dangers posed by novel weapons of mass destruction, and must rebuild its military to prepare for war, a major defence review has warned. Sir Keir Starmer pledged to make Britain battle-ready as he unveiled the long-awaited Strategic Defence Review, designed to counter threats from countries such as Russia and China.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I was informed that I was being toxic masculinity, whatever, and that this is really bad, and so therefore I can't possibly be aggressive in any way, shape, or form because I don't want to upset my government, with my toxic masculinity. So
it's true.
It must be hard for veterans coming back from war, especially to modern Britain. Like everything is you go from your day job. I mean, obviously not every soldier's day job is killing people, but like that's an expected thing. I think you're handling guns and explosives.
I mean, suicide and depression is a big thing with soldiers.
You're coming back to this like actual cotton wool wrapped civilization with just no expectation of violence
and like there's a lot of gayness in the MOD, but there's still like the boots on the ground soldiers and plenty of units who don't have that.
Yeah, I had an argument with a friend or girlfriend of a friend of mine who works in the MOD.
Oh, I know who it is. Go on.
I don't know, yeah. a little while ago, and she was saying something like, countries should have to seek approval from the international community or the UN or whatever before they declare or before they have a war. And I'm just like, what do you think a war is? Like, it's a breakdown of diplomacy. That's by definition you can't. The whole point is you're not seeking approval.
You need to negotiate the terms for your breakdown of negotiation.
I mean,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
what does she expect at, like, okay, take Russia Ukraine, like, what's actually happened? Russia did not have permission for that war. There's still a war.
Yeah, there is that as well. But even then, like, just from the definition of
Yeah.
what words are, like, it's force. It's naked force is what a war is.
And she works in the MOD, you say?
Yep.
It's like you treat it like an esports tournament or something. Russia and Ukraine having a dispute. Okay, we'll have a limited war for 5 months in this field.
Why can't they just nominate a champion, each, and then they just play chess boxing? It shows who has the better brain and the better fist. That's how war should be done.
Unironically, that's literally why we have sports.
Kind of.
But yeah, it is a completely ludicrous perspective. It's kind of, a fight doesn't break out because you got to an agreement. It's usually because you had a disagreement. For a lack of a better term, it's a very effeminate way of looking at the world.
Well, I don't want to slag off this particular woman, but it's
well, no. I don't mean that. I don't mean her. I mean the perspective itself.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's a very, like, kindergarten school mom way of looking at things. Everybody just play fair, everybody share, and everyone get on well.
Before two kids have a fight in the playground, the teachers need to give them permission. Like, what are you talking about?
Well,
that would be a base.
Queen's many rules.
I mean, the thing is, the closest I can think to it is back in the old days when you would say, okay, these people have come to an impasse. Okay, well, we will create a space for them to sort of duke it out, or to have, like, pistols at dawn or something. That's like the closest I can think of to, we are at an impasse, but we're not going to inconvenience the people around us.
I'm not seeking approval from a third party to do that.
Yeah, and it's more that we are going to do this thing, but we're going to do it within the bounds of.
Yeah, but so it
doesn't spill out to.
That's typically when you've got an arbiter above you, though. The point of countries is that, well, you're sovereign, and there's nothing above you apart from God, I guess. And does God approve of war? Well, read the Old Testament is what I'd say.
Well, yeah. The pacifist reading of the Bible is one of the most baffling things that I've ever come across.
So when Jesus told the apostles to sell their cloaks for a sword, do you think that was for pacifistic reasons?
Yeah, it was. I literally had this conversation with I think it was my mum not that long ago, and I was saying, it was symbolic. I was like, no, there's nothing in the verse that says it's symbolic.
What's a symbolic sword?
Yeah, what does a sword symbolize?
I think that the best steel man I can give is, like, the concept of the sword of the spirit. But again, it's a reach, and it's me trying to sort of rationalize. But I won't derail too much. But yeah, it's one of those things that I do get baffled by.
Oh yeah. Anyway. They want 76,000 full-time soldiers in the next parliament, so they've got, 4 years to do that. At the moment, the army has 70,800 regular soldiers, below the presented target of 73,000. Our fighting force is only 6,000 off what they expect. That can't be right. I mean, is there a difference between regular soldiers and full-time soldiers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
No, sorry. Yeah, it's
there's TA.
They
They
keep sort of trying to, like, promote the reserves a bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, an increase from 70 to 76 is nearly a 10% increase.
That's true. I should probably. Well,
like, you're saying only 6,000 because it's not a very big number, but that it only looks small because the current number isn't very big either.
Well, yeah.
Do you know how many Muslims are in the army?
Not many. I know more joined ISIS.
It's about 200 to 300.
You know what? Good for them. They can stay.
No, I think the army's going to be on my side. You keep saying it wouldn't be. I think it will be.
I think you'd be surprised. The Prime Minister said he was...
Talk to soldiers.
I do. The Prime Minister has said he was 100% confident that the recommendations in the document would be delivered, although it assumes that Britain will spend 3% of GDP on defence by 2034. Senior Labour figures and economists warn that taxes would have to rise to pay for it.
What the hell are we spending taxes on then?
Bennies!
Literally.
Well, I don't have an article on it, but Lincolnshire Council that's now reformed, they found out that they paid for a bridge that doesn't actually go anywhere. And they were like pictures. Oh, I'll see if I can find the pictures. I think Reform
Does
posted
it stick out into the ocean?
No, it just goes into a field. Like, let me find the picture. It was absurd. So, great man, Zia Yusuf. Yeah, this is what Lincolnshire Council paid for. Like, the bridge isn't going anywhere.
A literal bridge to nowhere.
Yeah. Oh, what? Like, they just, they must have been planning for something that side.
Plans, yeah, they probably had plans for a housing estate.
But yeah, so council ran out of money while building £50 million bridge to nowhere, which, as you say, probably had plans for other things. But
yeah,
surely you cancel that much earlier. But this is point being, we're literally just burning money on things that we can't afford all the time. One big thing being the NHS, of course.
It's very indicative of the Chinese like infrastructure projects where they just pump like masses of money in. Yeah,
but China have the money for it.
Well, China have the money for it because they use the cheapest concrete they can, and then everything falls apart. Honestly, every month I see a new Twitter account, and all it does is find CCTV from China of people effectively being crushed to death by awful Chinese infrastructure.
Yeah, but you can also find the same thing of actual English builders pointing out how crap stuff that
is absolutely. You know what? You're right. We do have an economy like the Chinese, and I hate it, and I want it changed.
We're not even cool about it either.
No, we're not. No, that's the other thing. Something everyone complains about. We had the cheapest time to borrow money ever for about 10 years, and we spent it literally all of it on the NHS. We've basically just had Atley for a century, and I hate it. So the government is expected to reinstate winter fuel payments in the spending review next week, and to signal that it will end the 2-child cap on benefit claims. Incredible.
Lol.
That's got to be. Imagine if that's 4D chess from Reform. Like, they'd never had plans to actually implement it again, but it's just to ruin the economy quicker. To be fair, I keep saying, I don't think people would really care about the winter fuel payment if we didn't just do a Chagos, if we didn't spend money on foreigners all the time, if the bill for asylum hotels was like 5 billion or something. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, my litmus test for sort of normies is Fin versus history, and they're always banging on about the winter fuel payment as like a thing against the government.
Just to make it clear what I'm saying,
it's not relative to anything. It's just it's immoral. Like, they're starving the.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, I mean, they're left wing, obviously, but more right wing people, I don't think they'd care so much about that being cut if it was like one of the, it was cut after, say, asylum hotels. If there's money going to asylum hotels, why the hell are you cutting pensioners' winter fuel payments? The priorities are skew with there, aren't they? I mean, Fin versus history are always going to say winter fuel payment bad. Because I always remember that bit.
I'm confused about your perspective. If right wing people,
my perspective,
right wing people are going to want the winter fuel payments cut regardless.
Kind of. You know what I mean? All right.
It's a right wing position to cut winter fuel payments.
This is where right wing and left wing aren't very good anymore. I mean, right wing culturally. Everyone's a socialist, Joz.
Okay, fine. It's a sensible position.
These are, I don't know if I can actually be bothered to make like a full presentation on it, but I think that there is a very good case to be made that the terms left and right wing are effectively redundant.
Yeah,
They were designed by leftists anyway, so it's a useful tool because it's the language everyone knows, but ultimately we should probably try and sort of start moving away from them because they are effectively
broadly
useless.
speaking, people understand cutting expenditure to be a right-wing position.
Yes, true. What I'm saying is that there are a lot of right-wing people that are like, yeah, sure, that probably should go. However, it's probably on the lower priority, given that we're still housing asylum seekers.
I see. Sorry, I thought you meant reinstating it.
Well, yeah. So I don't think a lot of people care. Like right-wing people probably don't care too much to reinstate it. Yes. However, obviously Reform are saying they're going to reinstate it. That's triangulation, get some of the Labour voters over. I don't know if they ever actually intended to put it back or whether it was to like force Labour to make the economy worse again.
Which is dig themselves a hole,
Yeah, exactly. So it's either a really, really funny bluff or they're just kind of saying stuff for the hell of it. The second one's obviously worse.
Probably true, though.
Yeah. Paul Johnson, head of the Institute for Fiscal Studies think tank, told Times Radio that there would have been some really quite chunky tax increases to pay for the commitments on defence and warfare. Oh no, that's welfare. That says welfare, not warfare.
No, that's fine. It can come out of Keir's pension fund, and there we go. We're sorted. No worries.
Why are they treating defence and welfare as like the same thing, or as equally
because
belonging in the same sense?
Because to them, it literally is the same thing.
It's not the same thing. No.
Hang
on.
Well, I was going to say military is actually less important to them. No, you're right.
Well, one, yes. Two, the reason they're bringing it up is because the spending review was on warfare and the winter fuel payment.
Oh, right.
That's why they've put them together.
Sorry, I'm being cynical with.
No, it's fine. You don't even have to read it. I read all that out.
Not listening to you then.
So, in an interview with Andrew Neil, Jack Straw, the Foreign Secretary from 2001 to 6, said, taxes will have to rise. I don't see any alternative to
Texas must rise.
And at the same time, there will have to be some quite difficult retrenchment, particularly in parts of social security budget. Oh my god.
He's been out of office or whatever for 20 years. Why does anyone give a shit what he says?
He's probably a lord.
He probably... Actually, I think he might be,
Yeah, because that's what happens. You go into... you go into government and then you just become a lord.
No, he is in the government still. He's... Oh, no, what? No, he doesn't have any current offices.
No, okay, so he's not. Well, he was in the government and that's why they're interviewing him.
Last time he was in government was 2010.
Yeah.
And that was Shadow.
Mate, that's still in politics, whatever. You're being too... They just, the Times need to fill up their... He knows what it's like to be in government. He was in government for 5 years. Anyway, you get the idea. More taxes, yay. We're building more nuclear submarines, yay. Oh, look at that.
More
6 torpedo tubes
is a good thing.
I would agree. So the government accepted all 62 of the report's recommendations, including an increase in regular personnel when funding allows, including a rise in the size of the regular army to 76,000, 20% rise in the number of reservists, probably in the 2030s, and ensuring that veterans who have left the service can be drawn upon quickly in the event of war. Interesting. A new way of fighting in which billions will be invested in drones, cyber autonomous weapons, and artificial intelligence to make British forces more lethal. Nice.
Well, that sounds more sensible, yeah.
Yeah. Just invest everything in drones. Why not? Get Boston Dynamics to make robots with rocket launchers for heads. Plans to increase...
Sharks with freaking laser beams.
Yeah, just get robot sharks with laser beams. That can be our new navy.
That's probably not far off what the sort of navy
I've played Metal Gear Solid, it's fine.
No, but seriously, like a sort of maritime drone with laser weapons is basically where our sort of power would go, right?
We've kind of already got it with was it called Dragonfire? I can't remember what it was called now, but we have a literal laser beam.
We've got this. Is it the only ship mounted anti-drone laser gun?
Yeah, and
the Americans might have one, I think.
And it's 10 pence a shot or something. And everyone and everyone on all the left were like, "Why didn't you spend all that money on houses?" It's like, you understand how much money we're saving, you idiot.
I was going to say 10 pence a shot. That's actually cheaper than 2.2.
It's £10, I think.
Nah, but it
Oh,
sounds
£10.
better. It sounds better if I say 10 pence. So.
I'd like to see the boat people get past our drone sharks.
All right, I'll put it this way then. All right, if we didn't have stupid net zero policies, it would be 10p a shot, not £10 a shot. There's your propaganda.
I'm maintaining that laser sharks sounds like autonomous drone laser sharks is probably the way the Royal Navy should be looking.
It's the new way.
Unironically, have you played Metal Gear Solid 2?
I haven't.
Metal Gear Ray, look him up.
Yeah. I know that from Smash Brothers more than Metal Gear Solid, but anyway. Plans to increase national warfighting readiness with regular exercises to test responses to an armed attack on the UK and the dispersal of aircraft and weapons across Britain and Europe. Okay. £15 billion investment in nuclear warheads and plans for 12 attack submarines developed under the AUKUS partnership.
Cummings absolutely seething.
Why? Does he not like conventional warfare?
No. He's always going on about that there's some secret conspiracy in the MOD to cover up this massive tens of billions black hole in spending in the nuclear program.
Right. Oh, I see.
I mean, I have no reason to disagree.
I think his whole thing is basically none of it works, and they have been covering up that for decades and spending the money on other stuff.
Isn't that the fact of people were saying that about the Russian warheads and stuff? Like people saying how the people that actually knew how they worked, and I think it's the same in the US. Most of the people that actually know how they work have long since either died or retired, and so you've got all of these warheads which were probably duds, but we have no idea.
Maybe.
I don't.
I'd like to think that's not true.
Well, I actually wouldn't be surprised because, again, look on a smaller scale. If you've got people, I think of a code base, right? There are people who will join a company and people that will leave a company, and I have been in many situations where people have left a company, and they were the last one who actually knew how a certain piece of sort of software worked. Yeah. And I can give you my best guess, and I will be probably, let's say, 90% right, but I can't be 100% correct, assured. Yeah.
I've heard Silicon Valley has the big giants there have a few. There's a few people who are being paid millions because they're the only ones who still know, like you say, how all the code that everything Google's made is based on.
Why do you think they're so hyped about AI?
It became very it became a bit of a meme for a while that if you knew COBOL, it was basically just free money, because if you could do it, a lot of the old systems are still running on it, and no one knows it now because no one learns it. And so
was the system, that was the language that was supposed to be causing the Millennium Bug. That's how old it is.
Yes, it's very old.
Oh God!
But we still have lots of key infrastructure places. I'm pretty sure.
Banking. I think a lot of banking stuff still running it.
Yeah.
Well, obviously that was the Millennium Bug, wasn't it? It was a lot of banking systems.
Yeah.
Are we basically going to have the modern equivalent of Warhammer Tech Priests?
Yeah, that's literally where I was going. It's reading the instruction manual and chanting the holy turn-on code.
I mean, I'm not being funny. With the job I'm in, I have to read manuals for just manufacturing line, like machines. 4,000 pages just for effectively a Raspberry Pi. 4,000 pages that works like a robot arm or something.
The invention of the word processor was a mistake.
My boss always says it's because of the Japanese and Germans. Basically, they just can't have anything simple.
Yeah, they love their feature creep, and you will have to read about it.
God.
But
anyway.
all I'm going to say on it is that the Butlerian Jihad, they had a point. That's what I'm going to say.
All right.
You know,
Mhm.
Any
we
well,
go.
I'm
Just-
not. I don't stand Luddites. But anyway, speaking of, we're getting 12 submarines. We're upping our armed defences, what have you. Anyway, up to 50,000 migrants could cross the channel this year. What's the point in any of it? We can't even defend the borders. More channel
Not with our
migrants than
laser-
ever.
Not with our laser beam shark
and
drones.
you know that the second that a single one of like any of those ordnance are deployed, we will be put in some sort of international court by one of Kia's friends
The
on
int-
how
the international community disagreed with that.
yeah
That preemptive
you used
strike.
your your Metal Gear Ray with his laser shark interface.
It's
broke
called the
some
Modern
sort of
Royal
treaty-
Navy.
Yep. It broke some sort of treaties that we just made up, and now you're going to have to pay, another 30 billion to Chagos. I don't know.
Keir Starmer's
You
going to
just
sue
know it.
himself.
Oh man, please,
God. Right. So
I'd watch it.
Britain is on course for up to 50,000 migrant crossings this year, according to new analysis, after daily arrivals topped 1,000 for the first time this year, and a row broke out with the French. So,
I thought
Go on.
the gangs
I mean,
were
the
gonna be
French, the
smashed.
French broke out. I was going to say that there was a row that broke out with the French from the French recently. So
Well,
I'm,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Well, I
At
mean,
what point is the number of illegal migrants going to be like? Because at the moment, 50,000 is quite an appreciable percentage of the legal migration, which is what it's like just under 1 million, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, about that. Yeah, it's a joke.
So it's like it's getting towards double digits of the percentage of.
no, it's probably already there actually. It's this year's migrant numbers. It's about it's top of the 300,000 range, isn't it? It's over 10%.
Is that the net? Is that the total?
That's net,
including the
yeah.
outflow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's net. Yeah, that's all that's all that matters really.
Well, they're not doing net
no, it
illegal
doesn't. No, it
immigration.
doesn't.
It
They're
does.
not doing
It,
net illegal
it,
immigration.
it does.
They're not counting illegals that are leaving.
Well, no illegals do leave, do they? Why would they? They get free stuff.
Well, you don't know. That's the point.
Yeah, I know.
So if we're saying 50,000 illegal migrants are coming in, you can't compare that net
This,
legal migrants.
I mean, that's the funniest part, isn't it? What about all the ones we miss?
Well, yeah,
I mean-
exactly.
And like we've mentioned before, like the supermarkets and stuff, probably like 10 million more just illegals.
Yeah.
Than like the official estimates.
Well, no, that might actually be official estimates because official estimates are stupid. Do you know how we do the official estimates? The UNS sends they send some people to an airport
Like
at the arrivals and say,
Some idiot with a clipboard or something.
yeah, and then they just estimate it from a sample of about probably 10% of, well, not even that, like 1% of people coming through off a plane. It's
It's like, sir,
madness.
are you? Excuse me, a moment of your time. Are you an illegal immigrant? Yes, yes or no?
All right, carry on.
They don't speak English.
Yep.
Oh, why is he off to the
get you an
university?
Let me get you an Uber to your hotel, sir.
Oh God!
I know it needs to be like a meme or a
There's
bingo
no
card.
Uber. It's like there's no Uber. Oh, okay, then have my car, sir. Here you go. There you go.
Oh, you are the Uber driver. Oh, okay. Oh, it's just ridiculous.
I mean, if I didn't laugh, I would cry. So I'm gonna do something.
So just under 1,200 migrants came over, 19 boats. The French managed to stop 184 migrants crossing the channel on that day. They managed to get about 10% of them.
That's a first.
Closer to 20 actually. Yeah.
How many of our fishing boats did they detain in that time as well?
Oh well, that wasn't the same day, but yeah, I did a video today that's out tomorrow, going through the Dunkirk remembrance.
I was
thing
going to
had to
that.
divert. It had to divert by a nautical mile because it was a French warship, by the way. The French warship was like, "Oh yeah, we're escorting a dinghy over to England," and could you mind moving a nautical mile? And being polite British men, they were like, "Yeah, all right." But it's
we're going to ram this French warship.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts that literally to commemorate a time we were defending the channel from Germans, we now have to move out of the way as people who are coming over illegally and invading, as some people would put it, are just allowed to come through with the French's help. Yeah, it's quite. Intelligence gathered by the Border Force estimated that more than 2,000 migrants are waiting to make the journey amid forecasts of a catastrophic summer of crossings.
More than 2,000. If they're doing 1,000 a day, it's not going to be about 2,000 that are waiting, is it?
Well, I imagine they're waiting
Not
for like
right.
next time there's like good weather. There'll be more coming
What,
constantly. I would've
tomorrow?
thought. Yeah, pretty much. Videos posted on TikTok showed migrants celebrating as they crossed the channel packed into unseaworthy dinghies. Saturday's arrival took the total number to have crossed so far this year to 14,811, the highest figure recorded for the first 5 months of the year, and 42% higher than this time last year. And I think it was like
42% higher.
it's double what it was in 2023, I think, as well. Double. So yeah, exponentially getting worse.
Like, so by that metric, I mean,
If these trends
stupid for a minute.
continue.
Being stupid for a minute, by 2030 we're having 1 million a year.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
smash the
something-
gangs, mate.
Yeah. But yeah, I was gonna say just
Smash the gangs.
There's going to be an early election. There's going to have to be. I don't like Labour aren't going to do anything about this, and I think I don't think this is going to be controllable. They're not controlling it already.
I mean, it could get to the point where people just start doing things themselves.
I
Like,
mean,
plenty of. If you talk to soldiers, they say, "Just stick us in some speedboats. We'll sort this out."
I'm sure they
you know
do
what
say
they mean
that.
by that.
oh yeah, I'm sure they would be thinking.
Pompey the
that.
Great cleared the Mediterranean of pirates in a couple
Yeah.
of years, 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, what's your point? He didn't have an international community to impress, Joss.
It's
He
fucking
didn't-
easy.
I'm sorry, did he have permission from the UN? I think you'll find he did. That's how it works. Oh god. Yeah, the Times basically say our modelling has been really accurate, and we forecast 50,000 people this year. Yeah, it's.
But
It's
I
all
mean,
pretty
again,
bad.
though, it's just a drop compared to all the legal ones they let in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know, but not all the legal ones are bad. Like you assume all these are bad.
We've seen the statistics. Matt Goodwin's got all of them.
I know
They
he's got
are.
the
They are all
statistics,
bad.
Jeez. They're not all bad, are they? Though, like you
What
know,
percentage?
I-
What percentage are bad?
is Stelios bad? No.
Yes.
Yeah,
support.
what?
Is John Wong bad?
Yes, deport.
I will
Yes,
give you that. He
yeah.
is bad. Is I don't know.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
what
Kirby's
percentage?
Irish. Is Kirby bad?
She's a British national.
So are most of the people we want gone. What do you mean?
She was born in Britain.
Rishi
For
Sunak.
some.
Wait, what was that about being born in a stable?
Can I?
She only laughs as Irish. It's fine.
That needs to be beaten out of her.
Don't worry, I'm working on it.
Oof.
Oh,
Disavow.
God.
Hope not hate. Disavow.
Right. Beaten out of her with love, then, whatever. Rachel
Yeah,
Reeves
exactly.
warns of risk to fiscal rules amid growth downgrade.
This
Rachel
sounds
from accounts
deeply,
kicking off
deeply
again.
boring. This sounds really tedious.
Well, all right then. Long story short, Rachel Reeves is like, I'm not going to be like the Tories. I'm going to have rules and stick to them. And she's basically saying, I'm probably going to have to break them because I've ruined the economy. That's
Oh, wow.
basically the story. Rachel Reeves has been warned that she is at risk of breaching it. In fact, no, not like I have to break the rules. Just I accidentally did because I didn't realise how stupidly complicated economics is. She was an economist, you know. So if the UK economy is hit by a growth shock by the then she'll probably be breaching a fiscal rule. Sorry. The Paris-based OECD has become the second major forecaster in 2 weeks to tell the Chancellor that her thin financial buffers mean she could be in breach of a deficit reduction target after the IMF did so last week. And this is when they've all been celebrating, like, oh my god, 0.7% growth in March. Oh my god. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Oh, May even. Yeah, they were the fastest growing economy in the G7, and they were like, oh, isn't that great? And it's like, yeah, but that's because Trump tariffs are going to come in, and that's going to be a massive hit. That's why.
Dire state of the G7.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, check out these growth forecasts. Yeah, we're still pretty good up there somehow. I think that's more an indictment on how badly everyone else is doing, though.
Well, yeah.
And Germany
I
and
mean,
Canada
that's
seem
constantly been the
to be covering.
like we've not been doing that bad compared to Europe economically the last like decade, say.
Yeah, but
That's because Europe has been complete trash as well.
oh yeah, I mean, it's only us, Japan, and the USA as well. Actually, we're all losing out next year. Most of Europe's actually, and Canada actually is going up, so might want to bear that in mind. In its annual outlook on developed world economies, the OECD downgraded the UK's growth outlook for this year and next on the back of rising trade uncertainty, high interest rates, and falling household and business confidence. The economy would expand by 1.3% this year, down from an earlier estimate of 1.4%, and slow to 1% next year, lower than the earlier projection of 1.2%, the OECD said. I still remember during the budget, they were all celebrating, like, oh, we're going to have like 1.8% growth. This is the prediction now. It's going to be great. So we're going to do all the. Anyway, they've ruined everything, and now we're barely getting 1% growth. And
has it got anything to do with giving billions of pounds to Chagos?
Probably, but probably actually not that much. This is probably much more to do with the fact that nobody wants to hire, and we're clearly in a recession. I was in a meeting at work today, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, one of our contacts of our clients, just been told he's made redundant." I'm like, "Great." I suppose I should be happy that I still have a job then.
Yeah, I think that's the boat most people are in.
Yeah, I'm thankful, but it's. I just remember that I remember the job market beforehand, and I realize that, like, I am very lucky where I am, but I'm probably not going to find another place very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's
just like the
stories I'm hearing are reminding me. They're reminding me of stories you'd hear in 2008. I was 12 then, and I still remember my dad basically telling me that he was depressed because he kept having to fire people.
It's funny how, like, even as we're about the same age in 2008. Obviously, it's all over the news how fucked everything is.
Yeah, and now
I now think to myself, like, what would 2008 have been if they just didn't tell you that there was a recession?
Well, it would be a lot like this, where everyone knows it anyway. It doesn't trust anyone.
But like, if the media and the various governments made such a massive hoo-ha about it at the time, like, would people still remember it as a sort of distinct point in time? Because it's been pretty crap ever since.
We've never recovered. Yeah. We've never recovered, really, have we?
Well, no, we haven't. And if suddenly the government came out and said, right, now we're in a recession, it's horrible, credit crunch, we're going to arrest a load of bankers or whatever. That would make it...
arrest a load of bankers.
Well, whatever. Like, that's the sort of thing they would do. But that makes it like a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
especially for the normie.
That's kind of why, to get a bit of elite theory here, that's probably why it was such a big thing in 2008, because the people who the government could blame were the bankers. Problem is, ever since then, you can't blame the bankers. You bailed them all out, and they've got such restrictions on what they can actually do. It's all your fault now. But
they kind
obviously,
of nationalised it.
Yeah, Tories.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, Tories don't want to say it's their fault, obviously, even though they've been in charge for 14 years. Labour now in charge and making things worse. They still want to try and blame Liz Truss. Like, that was the other thing, unironically, that speech where Starmer mentioned Farage 17 times. I think he mentioned Truss like 7 times as well.
Genuinely, people do treat Liz Truss's minor shenanigans like it's 2008.
Dude, we kept most of her budget. Most of her budget was implemented. It's crazy how people still act like her being gung-ho with... The only tax she was cutting as well, by the way, the only tax she was actually cutting was the top rate of tax for like billionaires or whatever, millionaires, whatever, which only brought in about £2 million a year, something like that. It brought in nothing, and it made it so no one could really be above £150,000 wage. Didn't do anything, and everyone was like, "Oh, her taxes suck." And it's like all the taxes were putting things back the way they were in 2019, when it was still the highest tax burden since World War II.
People don't take it that seriously because they're so like snide and like sneery whenever they mention her. They're not like panicking in the way that people were.
Yeah, exactly. Like, people's mortgages went up. That was only if you renegotiated your mortgage within a month window, something like that.
Yeah, and people are very sort of sneery about it rather than
Yeah.
shitting themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes me think
Whereas
they're not serious.
Whereas these days, obviously, people are actually getting fired. Like I say it every time. Every time I make a video about the economy, there is someone in my comments telling me about them being fired. I saw EC90 before. He sent a super chat the other week saying this is probably going to be my last one for a while because I simply can't afford it because he's just been sacked. It's depressing. Like you've got to consider yourself lucky if you're hired at this point, frankly.
Yeah.
And you're not at a point where you can really move. And businesses are going out all the time as well. You know. The only person who seems to be doing well is Clarkson, which good for him, but that's mainly because he's famous. Anyway,
and not a small detail, but he's basically funded by Amazon, which is a US company.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know it.
Yeah, I mean he's got other revenue sources. So.
Yeah, true.
He's got a lot of money.
One of them is not the farm, from what I understand. if you discount Clarkson's farm,
the farm makes him £100 a year. Come on,
Well, that was season 1. I think
that is true.
Yeah, I know.
That is true. That
Yeah,
that £100 a year does go toward a lot. That is true. Scrapping the 2-child cap, part of Keir Starmer's moral mission. Why'd you get rid of it in the first place? Oh no, sorry, I'm thinking of the winter fuel. So he wants to scrap the 2-child cap on benefits as it is his moral mission to reduce child poverty, Downing Street has said. This obviously is after Reform said they're going to get rid of the cap, which I think it's actually going to be relatively cheap, but obviously we're against it because it's like, if you're on benefits, why are you having kids? Because I think, from what I understand, it's never made clear, but I think the benefit is for people on the universal credit. And
I have genuinely no idea how the benefit system works.
Nobody does. You know, it's probably like the tax system where we have about 4 departments just to deal with.
Well, that was the point.
Complex.
That was the point of universal credit, was to kind of centralize it.
Yeah, and
have a sort of algorithm depending on how retarded you were. Was
how if you're out of work. So Bridget Phillipson.
We should have Dang It Bobby on for this section.
Well, as a representative, yeah.
Yeah, he gets it,
yeah. We can't bring Zen on anymore. Zen isn't on benefits anymore. Big congratulations to him, by the way, for that. So Bridget Phillipson, the educator.
And just as an aside, the heartbreaking thing about that is that his life is probably going to have gotten worse or more difficult because he's doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of the heartbreaking things about the whole system.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's.
Do they not understand that encouraging people on benefits to have more children is going to end up with more child poverty?
Well, quite.
Because there are more children in poverty.
Well, I mean, I suppose the argument back is, but they're paying them to get out of poverty.
No, they're paying them per child, so
I know.
they're still getting the same amount of money per child.
I know. Well, you know, they're also paying for free school meals, I guess, so get them in school and then you don't have to worry about feeding them either. He said that her message to charities campaigning to end the 2-child limit was that Labour wants to make the change happen. She said that the moral purpose of the Labour government was to bring down the number of children growing up in poverty. Number 10 said that the Prime Minister supported her remarks.
By putting more children in poor families.
Yeah.
What?
Have they also considered maybe not totaling the economy and then there'll be less poor families?
Have you tried not making most of the country redundant?
I also want to point out that she's specifically aiming her message at charities that are doing campaigning. So she's literally talking to NGOs here.
Well, that's just charities, full stop, really, isn't it? You name me a charity that doesn't lobby the government and it isn't just a big lobbying firm.
Exactly. She's not talking to voters. She's talking to NGOs.
Yeah, I know. Well, it'll be Labour Party members as well. So Phillipson's comments...
But it's not your nan. It's the Foundation for blah, 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 funded by USAID.
Well, it wouldn't be my nan. My nans are dead, for God's sake. But yeah, I know what you mean. This is not to the norm.
A Biden voter.
A staunch Democrat.
So Phillipson's comments are the strongest indication yet that the government will lift the 2-child cap in the budget this autumn when the government's Child Poverty Task Force is due to publish its recommendations. Economists have said that scrapping the 2-child cap and reinstating winter fuel payments would cost more than $5 billion. They have warned that Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, would either need to raise taxes or change her fiscal rules. I think both of those are happening. I think we're going to have more taxes and, the fiscal rules are probably going to have to be given a bit of wiggle room.
What is a fiscal
rule?
rule?
No.
Fiscal rule is effectively
It's like international law. It doesn't actually exist.
Well, one, it doesn't exist, obviously, but it's basically a self-imposed rule to not make the deficit worse. That's all it means.
So it's a promise.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
It's
they
not
made
legally binding or anything, is it?
well, no. Well, it was one of those big things that it's like, oh, the Tories kept us in a massive deficit, despite the fact that Labour kept asking them to spend more. And so they were like, oh, we're going to be better than Liz Truss and we're going to have our own fiscal rules that we'll stick to. And then they found out it's impossible because what the people want is no extra taxes but everything paid for them.
Yeah, basically.
Well, the average Labour voter, I should say.
And I think that we already covered it a little bit earlier, but what actually makes them think that giving more money is actually going to reduce poverty?
I mean,
That as well.
I can see the simplistic logic in it, but
I mean,
as
it's
we
very
say,
simplistic
second order
logic, but
effects.
it's kind of it reminds me of the old skit. I can't remember. I think it might have been Chris Rock, but it was just like, what was it? It's like white men, they be wealthy, but the black guys, they be rich, and
Right,
it's just like
It's true.
It's a very well disavow. I'm sure that there are wealthy black men, but anyway, I mean, look at Obama, for example. But
The difference in mindset is true, though.
yeah, 100%. It's
What-
partly why I spend, for example, I spend my 20s not being particularly financially literate, and as a result, I have quite a large income, but I have very little in the way of actually, I guess, what was it? Free expendable money because I'm essentially having to mop up for all the mistakes I made in my 20s. The mindset is a huge thing, and one of those things is because I sort of did some introspection about it, and I realized that one of the things was when I was a kid, the sort of value for money, I know it's a bit of a meme, a bit of a LARP or whatever, but when you think that money is that thing that just appears in your account every now and then, because I remember the EMA scheme. I'm not sure if most of you guys are probably too young for it, but there was an EMA scheme where essentially the government gave you money for going to college. I'm not entirely sure why, but and I remember that that's how I used to buy my video games. I spent zero of that money for college, and that kind of mindset kind of stuck with me, and I had to sort of unlearn it over time. But I often wondered to myself, if I was still getting those payments now, would I have ever learnt that lesson effectively?
Well, it was
something freely given has no value.
that is very based in Starship Troopers build. I mean, I remember when I went to uni, that my dad was my mum was technically unemployed at the time as well. Both my parents were technically unemployed because my dad was making a new business. Or technically had zero income. So when I was
gonna say, he was like completely unemployed because he wasn't currently employed.
Well, he was self-employed, but he didn't have a salary. He paid himself in dividends. But because of that, he he when he was doing my student loans, I did my own application, but when he did the you're my parent, fill out how much you make. Obviously, £0 made a year. I got full grant, full maintenance loan, like the most money you could get, plus an extra £1,000 off the uni for choosing them over like Bristol or whatever, over a Russell group. I always found that a bit weird as well. If you do well enough in your exams, we will give you an extra £1,000 a year, and I did well enough, so whatever. So yeah, I was just loaded. I was just loaded throughout uni. Well, it was a really good uni as well for the subject I did, so I didn't really need it, but I was just loaded. And this was the pre-COVID inflation, so
I can't remember who said it, but it's something like, I encourage young white men to go to university because it's the only time in their life where the government will be on their side.
I think a very, very, very wise man on this panel said that. I think you're a bit more detailed, and so it's the only time you can really have an adventure and chase girls.
I think that was me, but
girls is a bit of a
yeah.
that was me, but there's another. There was somebody else said something like, "It's the only time the government is going to give you money and like be on your side."
Oh yeah.
Whereas for other demographics, they're just used to it their whole lives.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I definitely felt like the government was on my side, and just looking at my paycheck, I'm pretty much on medium wage, and I only have to pay about like 25 quid a month. Never paying it back. It's not going to happen.
No, never.
See, this is one of the things that
Unless I get $1 million quid or whatever.
I am livid because not only do I work rather than being on benefits, I also was stupid enough to actually pay off the. I mean, to be fair, I didn't have much student debt because I dropped out after my first year, but I did actually already pay off what was left of my student loan. So not only am I a mug that actually paid off my student loan, you know, it's sort of like I know that there are arguments against like the idea of, you know, special treatment for people who have higher income or whatever, or pay higher tax. But at the same time, it's like, do I have to basically be hamstrung because I'm actually trying to be successful?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
You bet you are paying life on hard mode to pay the people playing life on easy mode. But honestly, you know, it's gonna come crashing down within this decade. You know, why is it called the clown decade? Because it's all gonna get worse before it gets better. But once you have the collapse, you know, it'd be like '79. Everyone voted Thatcher, and then she did some unpopular things for a couple of years, and then she won Falklands, and everyone loved her, and she probably would have been Prime Minister for literally her whole life if the Tories weren't idiots and ousted her. But the Tories were idiots and ousted her and replaced her with John Major. And then we got Blair.
The Wets didn't like getting called out, right? Basically.
Well, the Wets should have just joined the Liberals, but they didn't. Anyway, spending review cuts look to leave Keir Starmer's pledges in tatters. So yeah, this is another option. Instead of breaking fiscal rules and raising taxes, it's to make cuts elsewhere. Keir Starmer has been warned that his pledges on policing, house building and climate change are being put at risk at a time of mounting cabinet tensions before the spending review.
I literally couldn't care less about climate change.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why Reform keeps saying they're just going to get rid of all that crap. And those outside the NHS and Ministry of Defence are to make real-term cuts to their budget in negotiations before the review on June 11th. Oh, that's only a week away. Oh, it's going to be a fun week next week.
Oh, no.
That's the same day as PMQs, actually. Two government sources said that some secretaries of state were refusing to deal with Darren Jones, the chief secretary to the Treasury, because they wanted to deal directly with the Chancellor instead. It's probably because the secretary to the Treasury probably just says computer says no to them, whereas I think Rachel Reeves is a bit weaker. The problem wasn't toppling Thatcher, as that Major was the replacement. Alright, should have been Portillo then, whatever. Given that half of the government departments had reached settlements, there is growing pressure on the Home Office, Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, and the Department for Energy and Net Zero. Ed Miliband's not going to be happy. In the Home Office...
Department for Energy and Net Zero.
Yeah, that's Ed Miliband's department.
Department for Apples and Oranges.
Hey man, you know... Why not?
I mean, they kind of work against each other, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Department for Energy.
The Department for Good Thing and Bad Thing.
Yeah.
In the Home Office, there is increasing concern over the viability of the government's pledge to put 13,000 police officers into neighbourhood policing roles by 2029, made up of fully warranted officers, community support officers and volunteer specials. So far, the government has committed to hiring an extra 3,000 officers by March 2026. Home Office is also responsible for delivering two of the Prime Minister's missions, halving knife crime and halving violence against women and girls. I always love that phrasing. Why do you only want to halve it? Okay.
Yeah, it's like, well, you know what? Half of the women can still be abused. It's absolutely fine. They get, fuck them.
Yeah,
but, sorry, wrong stream.
Yes, wrong
screw them.
Yeah.
But the other half, we need to make sure that their suffering ends.
Like a Zeno's paradox thing, like you just keep halving it every year.
Yeah.
Eventually, there's one girl getting abused.
Oh,
she will be our sacrifice. There are concerns.
It's part of their culture. Okay, we've got to accept it.
God. There are concerns that it will have to deliver on the pledges with less money and increased pressure, with more violent prison. As more violent prisoners are set to be released early in their sentences to reduce the strain on jails. I forgot about that as well. They're doing another wave of people being kicked out of prison. It's just madness. Just madness. So,
which is kind of surprising because Keir wasn't happy when he had seeing all the criminals going, "Thanks, Keir."
I know, but I don't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
He's a petty man. I'd have thought that's the kind of thing that would have him go. "Oh, I didn't like that."
Well, I mean, well, no, I don't even think he noticed. He is an NPC to his core.
I think there were comments that he that really sort of got.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
Possibly. Well, anyway, George, you might not have seen it yet, but in Dominic Cummings' interview with Sky, I mean, Dominic Cummings basically says the most NPC person you can have in number 10 is Keir Starmer, and he probably will have just been told by the civil service that, we can't afford all these prison places, release more people. That's just probably what he was told.
It is wild.
I have no choice.
As soon as they do the releases, there will be a spate of newspaper articles saying "woman murdered by newly released prisoner."
I'm not. I mean, I can't think off the top of my head of a story of a released prisoner who has.
I swear I saw some.
No, there were. I'm pretty sure there were actually. I can't remember off the top of my head though. But you might be right.
Those murders can be directly attributed to these policies.
Oh yeah.
The best one was in New York when they got rid of when they made cashless bail, and
during COVID,
and they let one guy was arrested for murder and let out because of course, and then he went and murdered someone else.
Yep.
Actually, I think I know what you're talking about. Actually,
well,
I just need to do like I need an edit of Keir Starmer as Bane from the Dark Knight Rises with the we take Gotham from the corrupt, and letting out all the prisoners.
You do kind of sound like a higher pitched Bane.
Wait! I can do a great Bane impression.
If you just deepen your voice a bit, you do actually sound quite a lot like Bane.
We take Gotham from the corrupt. Anyway.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally?
Northern Bane doesn't really have the same ring to it.
That was an impression, whatever, man. He's talking about me.
Cheshire Bane.
Yeah.
Cheshire Bane nationalism. Anyway, yeah. Police have warned, obviously, the early prison release scheme is a risk to public safety.
Obviously.
Yeah.
What do you think a prison is?
Well, apparently it's a laugh if you're depending on which prison you go to.
The phrasing is so civil service. It could be of net detriment to public safety.
Net detriment.
What's the gross good?
net zero detriment, yeah.
Yeah, literally, what's the upside?
Yeah.
Oh, there's more prison places for people like Lucy Connolly, I guess.
Upside to public safety.
I don't have a story. I don't have an article on it actually. I know the guy got charged to burn a Quran, and then got attacked. He got charged. Is he going to prison?
We have blasphemy laws now. Great.
Yeah. Is he going to prison? Is he going to prison or he is going to prison? There you go. Well, Joz, that's why they need to release violent people who beat their wives or whatever to put in people who burn a Quran outside the Turkish embassy. Come on, keep up. Public Order Act. I was listening actually to Radio 4 today about that, and apparently the CPS, I think if they used a law that Tony Blair brought in, there's effectively a get-out clause in Section 28J or whatever it is of that law, I cannot remember what it is, that effectively says if this law is used to infringe on anyone's right to free expression, etc., 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 it can be effectively thrown out of court. So they specifically used the 1998 Public Order Act that didn't have that get-out clause, even though it didn't quite apply in the same way. But it's just, the CPS wanted this guy in prison quite clearly, and they managed it.
Yeah. It's because our government all loves Islam. Islam is their number one goal.
Personally, I think the CPS gets an awful lot of cases wrong, I can think of another recent example of the CPS getting something wrong, but Oh, sugar. I'm joking there, of course.
Yeah. The liar. We know.
The Times can disclose that senior figures from the world of policing and security have raised significant concerns about the impact of the government's plans to release thousands of prisoners after they have served as little as a third of their sentence. We have to ensure that out of court does not mean out of justice, and that out of prison does not mean out of control.
What does that even mean?
They're basically saying that they can't tag them well enough, and there is not enough probation officers because obviously they have to keep an eye on these people, and they just don't have enough resources to do the post-release checks.
Have they tried? Now, and this is going to sound a bit it's a bit out there, but have they tried maybe using a few less personnel to clamp down on mean tweets on X or Twitter or whatever?
Probably not.
And maybe okay.
Another thing.
I just thought I'd put it out there.
It's a good idea. Also, why don't they build more prisons because of people like Tharium? There you go. Tharium wants prisoners released rather than having a prison built in his backyard. Like, what a selfish bell.
Well, you want to build a prison as far from people's backyards as possible.
Have you considered? Have you considered that what you want is to deal with the symptom? Oh no, sorry. You want to deal with the symptom, whereas Tharium wants to deal with the cause.
I mean, I also have the problem that
many such cases.
Every political party wants me in jail, so.
Yeah, I kind of.
Yeah.
I think the Libertarians do.
They'll
find a way. They are a thing, aren't they?
Yeah.
Didn't Dankula join them or something? The Scottish Libertarians.
Yeah, he joined the Scottish Libs. Yeah. And now
Libertarian.
That was such a great.
I bet.
Was that the soundboard, or did someone do a?
It's the way that it's some of his like Glaswegian accent sounds like
that was amazing.
Libertarian.
Anyway, yeah. So
it's all weird. What happened?
Yeah. So 6 police chiefs wrote a letter to the government saying, "What are you doing? Don't let them out. By the way, we need more money. Otherwise, we can't police properly. Spending review next week. Gimme."
Well, I guess they don't have the money. Do they accept that these people will offend again?
I think the police do. Yeah, I think the police are trying to.
Yeah, because the police are saying that.
Yeah.
We don't have the funding to arrest them again when they offend again. So you're just going to be. You're not actually saving anything because they're going to end up in the justice system.
Well, that's the thing. They actually say this is probably going to end up costing more anyway.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be overstretched and we're going to have to put more money into this. So. Yeah, you're probably not actually helping with the saving money side of it.
Just another point on that quickly. It didn't used to cost this much to enforce the law, did it?
Inflation plus
not
more undesirables in the country, dare I say.
Am I Fed posting a bit too close to the sun?
Nobody go and look up the crime rate in London in the 20s.
Definitely don't look up
in the
crime
20s.
rate. Do you mean 2020s or 1920s?
1920s.
Oh, you could do it as you could compare the 20s to the 20s.
Yeah. Nigel Farage living rent-free in Starmer's head. We pretty much did that. Nigel Farage to send first Doge team to Kent Council, and that's we obviously had the Lincolnshire example as well.
But this is fucking hilarious because the American version is the federal government, and the British version is Kent Council.
Well, they can only fire it off where they have power, I suppose.
It's so hot fuzz.
Yeah, I know. Still, they are wasting a lot of money. I was one of my friends who managed to become a councillor. He was sending videos of the standard council meeting, and it's basically just a load of climate protesters. Trying to make stupid points about carbon dioxide and monoxide, and can we stick to the point of this policing report? Like, what's this got to do with it? Why are you talking about the climate? This isn't the agenda. So I would imagine what's happened over the years is a load of climate protesters has probably gone to these council meetings, been a massive pain, and to shut them up, councils just throw money at the problem, and but they're never happy, are they? So it's just an endless money pit. So that's probably where Doge
are these protesters the councillors themselves? Or
no. It's they're members of the public.
I'm personally not convinced, but sure.
Yeah.
Unironically, they will be happy once they wipe out humanity. It sounds extreme, but that's literally what.
No, you are correct. Unironically.
Yeah, it sounds bizarre, but that's literally what they want. They want to wipe out humanity.
Yes. So Kent County Council will become the first authority under reform to face an Elon Musk-style Doge audit on Monday as a team of tech experts visit and analyse its spending. I did see someone tweet saying, "I'm going to build a time machine just to kill that dog before that meme can be created." Which I'm almost on the side of.
No. The dogs get spared. Even in video games, I spare the doggos if I can.
I know, but I am fed up of seeing the term Doge.
I don't know, but the dog looks so funny.
The party chairman, Zahir Yusuf, great man, has assembled a unit modelled on Donald Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, which until recently was led by Elon Musk. Reform said it will be led by a man it describes as one of the UK's leading tech entrepreneurs. Yeah, he's a 28-year-old, by the way, who's made and sold about 4 companies.
Nice.
And is in tech and works in AI. Nathaniel Freed, I think he's called. Yeah, but he was in Kent. You know, I think they're trying to use AI to some degree to basically help them make a budget and find out what the most inefficient parts of all this of the budget is. The party said that he has a specialism in data analytics, who has also been a turnaround CEO. His team of software engineers, data analysts and forensic auditors, and Aaron Banks. And the new units will visit and analyse all 10 councils now controlled by Reform since the party's victory in the last month's local elections. Kent County Council has a budget of more than £2.5 billion.
Wow, that's so much money.
It feels like a lot, doesn't it? I guess for a council...
Do the councils not get audited?
From what I understand, they are audited, but they basically take so long they're never done by a deadline, and so they're never properly
are they audited by
I think it's by central government. I think
right, so not like by like Deloitte or something.
Some councils might use third parties. I'm not sure. I guess it depends on the council. But I think
I guess my question is what is this adding versus what was done previously? Like, I'm asking the question. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just publicity, really.
I don't know.
It's just it is. They're not going to do anything.
What do you mean they're not going to do anything? They've already found a bridge that wasn't made. They can't do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
Yeah, but I think they're going to find plans of things like that and say nope. They've already stopped some DEI roles, I believe, and climate change obviously is another thing they're just taking the money out of, and net zero, what have you.
So to be clear, they're going to crush the woke.
They're going to as they are now. They are in the process of crushing the woke.
The thing is, the only thing that's actually worth like doging, for lack of a better word, is the NHS. That is the biggest money pit. But no one's going to touch that one.
But we're not in control of central government yet, so that's not being touched. Dominic says in chat as well, auditing is checking that the money's accounted for rather than if it's being spent well. So that's another thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Which
is another thing, but also it just sounds like it's just the work's never done on time as well.
I suppose the more like random crap there is, so long as it is accounted for, the better the audit looks, I suppose, is if you have a more complex balance sheet.
Yeah. So Doge has requested information including contractual arrangements with suppliers and consultants, all capital expenditure, the use of framework agreements and direct awards, any off-book or contingent liabilities used of reserves, and financial resilience, and any audit flags raised by internal or external auditors in the last 3 years. Well, it sounds like they know what their targets are at the very least. God, no, I don't know if any county council has ever had that in their life. You know, the bankrupt.
Yes, I imagine some workers are absolutely pooing themselves.
Well, you know how Birmingham City Council was bankrupt quite famously because of Equality Act legislation and paying bin men too much. Another thing they actually did, another part of the reason they went bankrupt is I think they ended up spending something stupid like £90 billion on an Oracle system that never ended up working properly.
Classic.
I mean, classic Oracle.
It was one of those things where it's like, oh, this will only cost like 20 billion, and then the cost just kept ballooning.
Like, I know it's expensive, but 20 billion.
Yeah, I know. I might have messed those numbers up, but still.
somehow I don't actually think you're far off from the sounds of it. Just the sniff test makes me think, yeah, that those numbers they kind of make sense to me.
Yeah,
I
like
don't
an,
know if
an
that's a good
oracle,
thing
an
or not.
oracle system is going to be a lot of money, but I mean,
I just
I'm
don't
not.
understand why you would need an oracle system anyway. Like, I don't know what you're doing that's so unique.
At the time, I think they had a lot of money and they just wanted to spend it. This is why you need a doge, because they will just spend money if they think they have it, and it will be burned. It's not.
Yeah.
Whereas Reformer, because Reformer getting a load of businessmen in effectively, they're trying to now run councils like businesses, which you kind of should be doing anyway. You know,
Yeah.
I guess the issue is that it's not run for profit. Like if you have a profit, where does it go? Like a surplus. I mean,
I disagree with that entirely. The whole the country should be run as a business. That's entirely wrong.
how should it be run?
I mean, more what I'm saying is if the council makes a surplus one year, then what the other guys were saying that if they have spare money, they're just going to burn it on random crap. Whereas in a business,
yeah, but the problem is that they're burning money that they're projected to have, but then they don't have that money anymore because one, the costs keep ballooning from what they thought they had, and two, they end up in an equal pay claim that none of them want to complain about because they'll get called sexist. That cost 300 billion or something stupid. So
is the issue with spending money that they don't have?
The issue is that they will have a budget, they will stick to that budget, but they will try and like max out that budget with little headroom. It's a bit like what Rachel Reeves has done. She gave herself £10 billion headroom, then the economy didn't grow, and so she lost it all, and now she needs to raise taxes to get the headroom back. But doing that on a council level, you don't have that power because they can only raise council tax. They can only raise it by about 5%. And then the rest of the money comes from central government, so they have to go to a begging bowl to central government, and they did bail out Birmingham City Council. So I imagine the difference with Reform will be they will give themselves more headroom, and then I imagine they'll have any money they save. I imagine will go into a pot. So I don't know if that spare money then goes to central government.
That's what I'm saying. Is that in a business, obviously, you pay it out to shareholders.
The thing.
No, they'll just spend it on something else.
The thing is, Josh,
like they did in America.
I don't think any council has ever been in a position where they had more money at the end of the year, like spare money at the end of the year. I don't think that's
my
ever
assumption
happened.
is in the short term, these councils have debts that need paying off.
Oh yeah,
so they can just dump them back into those debts.
Yeah, ideally, yeah.
Any spare money, but
yeah.
What happens if they best case scenario they end up with a surplus one year? What do they do with that extra money?
They'll spend it on some other shit.
This is why
obviously.
This is why ideally you need central government as well as local governments, because you don't control councils don't have an awful lot of power really. We're one of the most centralised countries in the world. I'm not even joking. We are very much more like China than America. Well, even America's quite centralised.
And yet we need to be more centralised to get rid of the devolved parliament.
Tory rebuttal saying that some councils did end up having a surplus and they just cut council tax. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Apparently.
Yeah.
I am shocked that there are any examples of that. I love how he says famously. No, it's not. Counties are not famous for saving money. What are you talking about?
That was my question, and I guess that's the answer.
Yeah. Well, fine. Well, I mean, to be fair, imagine that Reform. We actually have a track record of cutting your council tax in 5 years, hopefully.
That would be a great tagline.
Yeah.
The village which I live in is just the quintessential example of this, where we had a path made that nobody wanted, and then they even said beforehand in there's like a group, like a village chat on one of the social medias, and people were like, we don't need this path, could we have like something else? And then they basically made the path anyway, and it was the most like terrible thing you've ever seen. There is just there's no care for actually spending money well or actually doing stuff. It's kind of more just, I guess they needed to spend the money, and it's awful. I don't know. Maybe I'm just jaded.
We're all jaded.
We're happy though.
Possibly. I mean, I think even if you saw the path I'm talking about, even the Yimbys were upset about it.
Oh, it's concrete.
About what?
No, it wasn't even concrete. That's the thing.
Wait, what were the Yimbys upset about?
No, they'd have been happy. More pointless paths being built.
Oh, right. Well, it depends on the path. Not all paths.
GDP went up. GDP went up, Harrian.
I don't think.
Is
GDP
there a reason why
goes
all
up.
these articles are from the Times?
Because no one sent me anything, so I just look at the Times if no one sends me anything.
Fair enough. It's not a criticism. I was just wondering.
Yeah. Well, no, that's me having to go at the audience. Audience, why did you send me nothing? Send me articles in like the other side of the hill. To be fair, they might have actually. The only person who ever sends articles is El Nino, but I don't think he sent any. So if you're listening back to this, El Nino, what are you doing?
I don't read the paper. I'm not a boomer.
You don't read the. Where do you get your news?
You.
Wow, that's really sad.
Twitter.
Well,
like YouTube.
Well, in that case,
Literally.
you told me you don't listen to my videos, but do listen to my video tomorrow because I end up having a good 2-minute rant about how useless
People
the government's
post
been on-
articles or tweets or whatever in this Discord, and I scroll Twitter. That's how I get my news.
I would recommend reading at the very least probably. The Times is worth a subscription, but I don't pay for this. It's my dad's.
I was going to say I guess the question I ask myself is: have I missed out on anything by using the method that I'm currently using?
You probably
answer is
are.
no.
Well, you probably
Nope.
are.
Nope, nothing that I care about.
You will be missing out on something.
I missed out
It
on
will
being
be happening.
propagandized by the media,
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
mainstream media.
As I keep saying, that propaganda
opinion
has
hasn't
to for that propaganda to be good propaganda. It's not good propaganda, to be fair. So that probably means it's probably about 40% true if you just ignore the title and read the actual article. It does have information in there that's decent.
Lies, deception. It's the CIA.
Or I can get Harry to read it for me.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to read it. And then I can go and watch something like anime related, and then we're golden.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. Nigel Farage promises to support couples starting a family.
Oh, this shit. Christ.
Yeah,
I mean,
we just complained about the 2-child benefit cap, and now I'm going to support it. Get rid of it.
These like this crap. This is years behind. You know, this is so far behind.
What do you mean? Well, I mean,
this whole thing about like, government needs to boost birth rates. That is, they are years out of date with this thinking.
it's
Probably
kind
about,
of like what
probably
was,
about 100 years, to be honest.
I was going to say. It's just like you've already declared bankruptcy, and now you want to bring in some sort of fiscal rules. Like that's effectively
what?
where we're at. Like to use the analogy for birth rates.
Oh God!
You know, if you want to start supporting families, you need to do it basically a generation ago.
Why are we all having to go at reform? They only became a party like 3 years ago. What?
God damn it, reform! Get a time machine.
I'm so
This is like-
confused.
You see, like, this is just so out of touch. Like, I mean,
What do you
first off,
mean?
plenty of governments have tried this stuff. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I
You
know.
can't just boost it. And
The
also,
absolute state of
it's-
reform.
you see they're talking about it, like Zai the Liar and stuff. It's clear their mindset is just one of human capital. We need more human capital. It's breed peasants. That's what you can tell what that thinking is. And it's good
I'm
because
so
I've
confused. Why are you complaining about
recently-
like what?
because it's really stupid. And you can see like recently, like part of like the right wing who sort of did have this sort of everyone needs to breed sort of attitude has sort of realized maybe not. You know, maybe that's sort of just breeding like rabbits to try and outbreed the Indians. Maybe that isn't really a good solution to things.
This is the
is a
argument.
solution.
The argument is much closer to we want people to feel like they will be financially secure enough to have a family. Because one of the main reasons people aren't having kids that they cite is that they don't feel they can afford it. Like that's
That and
the argument here.
It's
And
not though.
microplastics in your bowls. That might also be a problem.
It's not because like
No, it's
Hungary and
not.
stuff, all these countries where they have done
Oh, I know.
massive sort of big things.
I know it doesn't.
The whole
work.
they're saying, oh, we don't think we can afford it. That's just thinking. It's not that. It's
Oh yeah, I know.
especially
They're
'cause,
basing it
like,
off stated reasons though. Like it's not
Yeah.
like revealed preference.
Yeah,
Obviously
but-
shows us it's
well, exactly, and they
nonsense,
should.
but-
That's what I mean. They are years out of date in this sort of thinking.
Yeah,
Totally
but they think they won't care about that. They'll just be like, oh, people are complaining they can't afford a family. Well, we'll help them there, and they'll vote for us. Like that's as far as the thinking goes, which is all they care about at the moment because they need to get into power. Or their aim is to get into power.
Why do we care then?
What do you mean?
Well, why are we talking about it then? If
Well, as I was saying before, it's either an interesting bluff to make Keir Starmer make the economy worse because the two-child it's about scrapping the two-child benefit cap, and Starmer's promise. Well, that Labour are hinting they're getting rid of it, but it could be a bluff to make them spend £3 billion more when they can't afford it and make the economy worse, and then people forget about this promise like 4 years down the line, whatever. Or they actually do promise it and only cost 3.5 billion, and that's a rounding error, so who cares? You got the Labour voters who are iffy about whether you're willing to spend money. I guess I don't know. So that's why we're talking about it, because it's either clever politics or it's just basic.
It's out of touch. It's insanely out of touch.
I don't think it's that bad. Like
It is.
even if it's not out of touch, like whatever, it's just not a solution to a problem.
No, I don't. Well, it's not going to affect many people anyway. One, it only affects people on universal credit. Two, it only affects people with more than 2 kids. That's not actually that many people. And 3, it's not profitable necessarily.
Well, he's also talking about tax breaks for married couples and stuff.
Well, yes, that's the other important one. He promised a tax break of up to £5,000 for married couples by allowing them to transfer their tax-free allowance, arguing it would give people more options and greater flexibility. So it's a bit like, well, that's John's trad tax, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not to the full extent he'd want it, obviously, but transferring £5,000.
Well, exactly, because
yeah.
The reason people aren't having kids is, I suppose, we live lives that are so far from the lives people were living when they didn't have a lot of kids. Just in terms of how we live.
It's a societal thing. Yeah, it's a societal thing. It's not.
I mean,
let's change the tax rate.
Yeah, it's not something that's going to be fixed by fiddling around the edges.
Because I was talking with my wife about it. I mean, the poor woman has to listen to my ramblings. But I was saying that there are even small things that we don't even consider. Like, for example, the fact that when we travel, cars have 3 seats in the back. So if you have a family that is more than 3 children, assuming that you've got a nuclear family like wife, husband, and 3 children, like unless you have a 7-seater or something bigger, now logistics become incredibly more difficult if you have more than 3 kids.
Yeah, there was some stat on like the introduction of car seats for children actually prevented more children being born than it ever saved. It was something like that.
I feel so vindicated because I got told that I was being an idiot or that I was being overly all over the place. But I basically pulled that out of my ass. But you're saying that it actually got verified.
It's probably freaking
I remember reading it somewhere. No, not that long ago.
I will actually check that out because it to me it rings true. It's simple stuff like that. For example, when we used to have local communities, traveling long distances wasn't as important.
Yeah,
So,
and a lot of things that I've realized, especially knowing women my own age having children, is kind of the stay-at-home mother idea, which is only possible, which is only desirable if you don't want to pay childcare fees, which are astronomical. It is a lot more lonely nowadays than it certainly used to be. Women's mothers and mothers-in-laws aren't that willing to help, and even if they live hours away, there's friends in the area that don't have their own children, so why would they stop by and help more often?
Having kids in apartments can't be great either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Small houses just make things miserable. Like it's a compounding of things, and fiddling around with tax rates and stuff like that is just not a solution to anything.
Well, I don't think they're saying it's a silver bullet, to be fair, but
what's the point then?
Oh, what's the point in anything, Joz? What do you
Well,
mean?
I think that it is a gesture in the right direction, but I think that
Yeah.
John is right in the sense that it's not going to solve. It's not actually going to solve the problem, but
But
it is going to. It's at least it's heartening that people are actually seem to at least be taking it seriously.
What is this? What is reform signaling here? They're fine with like raising some benefits. They're fine. They're trying to do it in a right-wing way by saying we're doing it to help you have children. They're also happy to do the trad tax thing, which, let's be fair, as much as it won't be a silver bullet for the problem, one, no one's pretending it is. Two, we want this. Like, it's, what they.
No, it is fine.
It's important what they're signaling here, which is the whole point.
Yeah, and their signalling is just a concern about human capital.
God, like,
they don't get it.
we are trying to help young working British people who are not particularly big incomes to have more children. He said that young couples are terrified of the cost of childcare.
The young working British people who are on high income aren't having.
Yeah, I know. I know, but that's their own choice, Joz.
No, it's not. High incomes don't mean anything anymore.
Well, high income of £40,000. What do you mean? They can easily afford kids.
What does he mean by not particularly big income? Or the fact that he's also saying incomes, mother's working.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, but the woman can still. We've been through that. We went through this in your stream. Women worked all the time, apart from a blip in the 50s.
But working nowadays with young children isn't as possible as it was.
It is if
like,
you
working quote unquote by doing the dishes and knitting clothes and stuff in a medieval village. You can do that with young children around. You can't work a laptop job in London with children around.
Well, if you had a newborn baby in medieval times, you'd be sowing seeds or we see this actually in modern day, like the fair trade adverts. The women are picking fruit with their kids, like
Yes, but they're not working laptop jobs with their kids.
They are if they're working from home.
Oh.
I'm basing this off anecdotes, but I'm just saying.
That is a recent development.
Yeah,
I
I
was gonna
know.
say, I have called people for various companies, and like you do hear kids in the background, and it is kind of, to be fair, for me it's kind of heartening because it's like at least now you're spending more time with your children.
Yeah.
Though if you have a telephone job, then it's going to be grim for you.
Yeah.
The amount of people that have said to me that the benefits of working from home is quote unquote I get to spend more time with my children.
Yeah.
I mean, for me it's my dogs, but I'm hoping it'll also be non-fur babies eventually.
So yeah. And yes, it's obviously a long-term alternative to migration. I thought we wanted less migration, for God's sake.
No, it's true, but I think that what bothers me is that there is a lot of these conversations are moving in the right direction.
Yeah,
and at a risk of sounding a bit too much like Lotus Eaters of well, it's good, but it's not what I would want. It's not far enough. I mean, it is kind of. Kind of true. Sorry,
it's fine. Go on, finish.
Yeah, I was just going to say that because I had a bit of a revelation the other day that society effectively was originally intuitively made to essentially to make up for the human condition, to essentially bridge the gaps between the human condition that we can live in peace. Whereas nowadays it kind of feels like we're trying to bridge the human condition to fit with society. I don't know if that actually makes any sense, but it made sense in my head.
That's a little bit Jordan Peterson there. You're gonna have to explain that.
What do you mean by believe?
Yeah, well, it'll take me a little bit of time. I don't want to tangent too much on it. But long story short, there seems to be this idea that rather than society essentially working for us, it kind of feels like we're working for society.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
And and I realized that is sort of a type of inevitability, but again, it's like I use the dating analogy, right? The idea of courting or the idea of dating actually is a relatively recent invention. Courting was basically this very short period historically between deciding whether you were going to marry someone or not. And actually, so marriage is actually specifically marriage with children. It's the children part that's actually the important part. But we've abstracted it out so much that now we get so caught up on the dating part that we don't actually get to marriage and children. And so there is a problem that is so deep that it's going to take. I don't even know how we will do it. I don't even know how, as a culture, as a society, as a people, will do it.
Nuclear
Because-
apocalypse.
Well,
Mhm.
I'd rather it didn't.
I think we can find safer ways to fix this problem, Giles. I'm going to be honest
I
with
tell you
you.
what, you do you. I will try a different method. but unironically, it's such a problem that we have so abstracted out, like the bare minimum of the human condition, like the idea of having relationships without the idea of having children is a sort of a relatively recent one. And then this is the last bit. Then you tend to have like second, third, fourth order effects from the fact that we are trying to not have the second order effects that we used to have.
Well,
which was the positive.
Well, what's happening with Western civilization, I guess you'd call it at this point, is that we've effectively gone through a societal revolution, and every government has tried to take a snapshot of one particular point during that civilization revolution and keep that going forever, instead of allowing innovation to happen and effectively allowing society to have the freedom it needs to actually find the way it can work well. Instead, they kind of put all the women on drugs, whatever, to deal with their mental health issues. They then at the same time push the main demographics, and especially male demographic, down to get equity that way, because it's like, let's put Martin Luther King but take the wrong lessons from him and put that on steroids. As I say, we probably have a more oppressive regime than, even the Soviet Union, really. Which sounds crazy to say, but even right wingers think that school that Catherine Bergelsing has, that's supposed to be really good. Yeah, that's more there is more rules in that school than your average post-revolutionary Soviet school. You can only eat vegetarian. You're not allowed any sort of open you're not allowed to pray, basically. In any way, it's like the way that diversity actually works. If everyone effectively just becomes a grey blob, that's the right-wing position for some people.
Justification was like, well, we want multiculturalism to work, and this is the way to make it work.
And the only way to make it work is to make everyone a grey blob instead of making everyone
to have the most authoritarian possible environment.
Yeah, exactly.
But they waived the Union Jack though, so yay!
But there you go. There's the quintessential example of you're not allowing people to be people. It's like the ideal of the multiculturalism is somehow more important than the individual.
Yeah,
it transcends the individual.
25 is that if we allow people to be people, there would be civil war.
At this point, yeah, they're kind of screwed.
Yeah. So
probably, yeah. Well, I mean, you got to do it bit by bit at a time, and it's gonna look like it's very bad at first. I mean, this again,
civil war is coming.
I think it'll be a tightrope, but it's probably still avoidable at this point.
Well, again, we should go over Dominic Cummings' new blog next week, because we'll see.
Well, that's fair.
What was the guy Bates? Was he the one that also David?
Yeah,
he's
the Civil War professor who's been going around.
He's been doing
Civil War professor predicts civil war.
No, legit. He's actually advising government.
No, I know. I've seen him on Louise Perry's thing.
Oh, good lord! I forgot about him.
I'm sure he actually did go to government and was basically just told to fuck off. So now he's just like, well, okay,
I will warn everyone else about the Civil War.
He gets to them. He's just like, "Do you want the good news or the bad news?" And he's like, "Give me the good news." Well, the Civil War isn't going to happen for a while.
Right, we have tangented too much. We have tangented too much. I wanted to end at 10:30, but screw it, we're ending at 11. Pointless disposable vape ban may drive users back to cigarettes. Yeah, duh. So, what do you mean good? I do not have an issue. I do not have an issue with vapes, and anyone who does, I think just.
Have you seen them? They're so gay.
Yeah, I know they're gay.
Look,
but they do taste nice.
It's woman.
I know they're anti-masculine, but at least they're safe and tasty. You fucking girl.
They are tasty.
I
don't care about the
Are you actually your mother?
No, I don't see the issue with vapes, and they have been the best way to effectively stop help people stop smoking ever.
Oh, just stop. You're not.
I don't.
fixing it.
No, oh
Just
my
stop.
god! This is. I just went through how society has too many freaking rules that we can't, find the way forward properly. People don't have enough freedom, and now we're all like, oh yeah, ban more things. Like, no, I've had enough of it.
I'm not saying ban, but
You just said yes.
No. We're saying we should. It's social ostracism, not banning.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I was socially ostracized,
like-
but I'm fed up of like this is a net zero thing as well, by the way. Oh, litter
and
on the
like
streets.
coming up with
That's a great
like
excuse.
wait, help me get off cigarettes. Stop being a bitch and just get off cigarettes.
Just
Like,
stop.
don't come up with this excuse of I need my vape to help me quit my cigarette. Pathetic.
It's helped. It's helped. It's genuinely helped. Like, yeah. If you prefer the second-hand smell of cigarettes over vapes, what's wrong with you?
I met one guy who'd never smoked cigarettes, but now he does.
And then he vapes.
Yeah, he little vapes.
He vapes like
God.
1 million a day and probably killed himself because it's still bad for you if you have 1 million a day. Yeah, that is an issue with it. But anyway, I don't ban vapes. Why are you banning vapes or litter? Like, why get rid of vapes full stop then? Just whatever. Tories call for armed wardens in maximum security prisons. Base Jenrick, some would say.
Yeah.
Jenrick's wrong or right?
No, he's right. Yeah,
Alright.
because I saw some
Experts
people
fear
push.
inmates with guns.
Yeah, well, I saw Jenrick is worried that like they'll just get drones and stuff to arm up prisoners. They'll drop guns off of prisoners and stuff. So the wardens need to be armed in response. I mean, because they're already seeing. I mean, they're already seeing like tons of drugs get smuggled into prisons already. Is it stretched so that guns won't also be soon? And then some people go, well, if the wardens have guns, what if the prisoners take them off them? The solution there is just you open fire and mag dump.
Well,
That is how America works.
Yeah.
I mean,
You can't say it doesn't work.
I think there are some prison governors that have effectively said this is actually a bad idea. One, because tasers only work at range. Stun grenades might not be an issue actually.
Oh wait, he's talking about
Flashbanging
tasers?
prisoners.
Just for fun, You've been annoyed today.
I thought Jane was talking about actual guns, not tasers.
No, tasers. Suggest tasers, stun grenades, and baton rounds.
I was gonna say,
What's a
I
baton?
thought
you're
he
saying
was
that they don't
told-
have those already.
Yeah.
I think specialist
Yeah,
officers.
they already
I
did.
think specialist officers do. I think Jenrick's saying it should be standard issue.
Gay Jenrick. I thought he was talking about actual shotguns.
No.
Shotgun.
That was never going to
Yeah.
happen.
You know, uppity prisoners, shoot them.
Well, it does say there access to arms.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
that
but
could be
these are the
one
people
lethal,
that consider
doesn't it?
pepper spray as a type of arm.
So
Firearms as a last resort.
specialist officers given firearms as a last resort when dealing with dangerous prisoners.
Oh,
According
well,
to
last
Tory
resort now.
commissions.
No, it should be first resort. Shoot them. Uppity prisoners, you shoot them.
But Tharium, think about the poor criminal that that were oppressed by society.
The criminal just wanted to have a riot. You know, he didn't do
Yeah,
anything
well,
wrong.
I was gonna say, like, the funniest part. Well, it's not really funny, but obviously the brother of the Manchester bomber hospitalised three prison officers because they didn't have stab-proof vests. They'd been asking for stab-proof vests from the Tory government for like years, and they never gave it to them due to budget concerns. And now, obviously, Robert Jenrick's it's that thing of being in opposition is really easy, isn't it? You just demand the things they've been demanding for years, and you didn't give them.
The thing is, again, it's like, well, why weren't they given? You know that it's because it's like, oh, budget concerns. Okay, well, I can tell you the things that the police were spending money on at this time. You know, like, I know it's a different region, but I used the Yorkshire police as the example. Was it they're getting the adverts on the buses about how offensive this, that, and the other is a crime? Just like, well, I guess we can cut that budget and actually put it into stab-proof vests. No.
Yeah, he also, the only like confirmed good idea that I have no issue with, obviously, is segregating Islamist prisoners from everyone else. given.
Good idea
This all
sometimes.
seems to be downstream from a lot of other problems.
Yeah, no, I know what you
this-
mean.
This shouldn't even be an issue. Like, well, why is this a problem?
Well, it's unfortunately a problem that you can't really put the genie back in the bottle with. So, you know.
I mean, you can, but you won't like the method.
I don't think anyone would like the method. I don't even think you'd like the method, to be quite honest with you.
Probably not, but it might be the solution.
I'd like it.
You absolutely would not. Like, I'm gonna have to go rubber
mean-
and say stop murder fantasy. God's sake.
I mean, well, look, a 9mm bullet costs less than £1,
I
and
don't even know if you can buy 9mm in this country.
No, you
you
can't.
can. I think you can.
Well, no,
Because you've got
it-
9mm bolt action rifles you can get.
Oh, of course, yeah, but that's quite rare. Anyway, yeah, carry on. Ignore me.
But also like the police and stuff aren't subject to
Oh,
those
yeah,
sort
of
things.
course.
They
Yeah,
carry them. So
well, they
you
can
know, a
carry
9mm costs less than £1, and it frees up a prison space. I don't see the downside to it.
Why can't you just hang them? Like, if you're gonna do capital punishment, just do it properly.
No. But
You
this
know,
is
wait,
this is
no,
in response to them
Tharium,
being
hear him
uppity
out. I'm
in-
listening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with that, but this is in response to ones who aren't on death row. You know, they're just prison, but they've decided to get uppity and start riots. You know, just shoot.
Right. Anyway, yes. Anyway, stop Fed posting for God's sake.
Yeah, I don't like the way this is going.
Pupils can pass GCSE maths without mastering basic numeracy such as decimals, percentages, and averages, a report by mathematicians
Oh my
warn.
God.
Did you see as well? I don't have the story of it. You probably missed this, Joz. But do you know that most students doing English at university don't understand what a metaphor is? And
Yeah,
don't.
I posted in memes earlier something like 100 years ago we were teaching Latin and Greek at high school, and now we're teaching remedial English at university.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. So the study published on Monday says that pupils taking the maths exam can obtain as few as 14% of available marks and still achieve a grade 4, equivalent to the old C grade, without having demonstrated a broad grasp of many important concepts, facts, and methods. Students are also being given shortcuts by teachers to help them pass without needing to understand the meaning behind questions.
So 14% is a pass.
No. 14%, sorry, yeah, of available marks
Is
and
a
still
pass.
achieve grade 4. No, you're right, yeah, sorry, yeah. I thought that was just 14 available marks. No, that's 14%.
Sorry, all the
of it.
arguments against like homeschooling and stuff, as in, like, I'm sorry,
Yeah, it
but
won't be as good.
I could teach my own child maths to a higher standard than this.
Yes, but you did theoretical physics at university.
I could teach my own child French to a higher
Okay.
standard than this.
Yes, okay, I'll give you that.
Stick them in front of YouTube videos. You'll do better than this.
Unironically, yes. Like Google is a better teacher.
What is
from
the
what
point
I'm-
in school?
Yeah.
I was literally saying to one of my nieces that I recently heard that there were people that had managed to graduate from university with honors who couldn't read or write, and this I think is literally why.
Yeah.
I remember. Sorry, I love telling this story. At university, there was a whole module in third year that was given by an Italian man who only spoke in broken English, and all of his slides were clearly just stitched together from other lecturers' slides. He was just massively lazy, Italian, I guess. And
Not today.
not today. And the person who did the best in the exam in the end for that module and got the highest marks was someone who didn't go to a single lecture.
Yeah.
Like like sometimes teaching is actually a detriment.
This is part of the, you know, not to go back to the same topic we were just talking about, but a lot of the problems that we see like this and like the birth rate stuff we were talking about are not solvable by some sort of fiddling around at the edges.
No, I know.
And I mean,
This
especially
needs to
now-
be ripped up and started again. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Oh,
I think also ChatGPT is a problem that school and university cannot fix,
Yeah,
because that's just been used by everyone in
I'm
school. and
sorry,
stuff
I
now
don't-
is just cheating with that.
you can just by making it interesting. And
No, I mean, but any sort of tests and papers and stuff,
Yeah.
people
Sorry,
they're just
you-
using ChatGPT.
actually, no,
to
you
do
can't.
it
You
for them
actually
now.
no. Sorry, you can fix that as well. I remember.
Oh,
it's-
yeah, unless you stick them in a desk and make
Yeah,
make them all right
I mean,
there in front of you.
Surely, like George, you're my age. When you did I can't remember what they were called. But when you were doing like GCSE English and you had the coursework, you couldn't take it home. You had like 2 hours in the classroom to do like the coursework, whatever, and then the teacher had to like take it all in. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I don't think I did that for English, but yes, for other subjects. Yeah,
Sure. Well,
But-
yeah. So you can oversee that they're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
nobody can be bothered to
it's not
do
often
that.
happening.
Is the issue, isn't it?
yeah. Yes.
Stop
the
people
fact
being
is that-
lazy.
This is just a general issue, and I think probably going to be an existential issue for our generation, which is that there are so many tools now which effectively can bypass your need to actually think for yourself, that you're going to have to actively make the effort to think for yourself, to challenge, to not cut corners. It's down to like your own personality pretty much, because like if you can just generate out all of your answers and at least pass your grade, then most people are going to do that. But it's going to take a special kind of tismy person to actually sit down and work it all out and actually
Mhm.
get the personal growth out of it. You know.
Sorry, my God, this is. I talk about decline here. Again, Joz, I'm bearing in mind a lot of this is probably downstream of other issues that we're dog whistling. The report
and
involved.
these children speak English.
Well, quite. But this was a massive survey: 1,000 teachers, 2,000 parents, 2,100 pupils, 2,200 employers, and 2,000 employees. Like big sample sizes, really, and hundreds of experts. It says that students taking the higher tier maths GCSE for grades 4 to 9, equivalent to C to A, are able to pass with a 14% pass rate according to the exam gradings of OCR, one of the UK's main exam boards. Okay, that sentence doesn't make much sense.
Students are able to pass
with
Is
a
that
14% pass
only-
rate. Is that saying?
Is that saying only 14% pass?
No, I think it's saying all of the students are able to pass if the pass rate is 14%.
Maybe
It's with a 14% pass rate. They are
Right.
able to pass with a 14% pass rate.
Right. Okay.
Mm.
Right. Okay. So 14% of the marks, like they said before. Those taking the lower tier exam, aiming for grade 1 to 5 or G to C, need only 44% to achieve grade 4, which is D, I guess. Is that even a pass? Wasn't it? C was a pass at GCSE, wasn't it? Who knows? It was 15 years ago for me. Key Stage 2 Maths SAT students who achieve half the marks are deemed to have met the expected SAT standard. I never remember the pass rate being that low. I never remember it being 50%.
For GCSEs, it was like something really
60%.
low.
60% for a pass at GCSE.
Was it? I thought it was like 30%.
No, that's A level. A level.
Oh.
A level. E was a pass. GCSE HSC was a pass.
So I remember
then
taking biology and hating it, but still passing.
Yeah.
This is all in lieu of the people who wanted to actually ban exams entirely because they were too stressful.
Well,
So-
COVID was when
COVID
they
Oh,
just
yeah.
started just giving people passes.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
you
there is
automatically
that as well.
pass for everything.
Yeah. So a spokesman. Oh God, what did the Department for Education say? We are renewing our curriculum through an independent review, ensuring every child gets a cutting-edge education that leaves them ready for work and life.
Sure.
They have possibly the worst education in the history of this, including medieval peasants.
Well, no, medieval peasants didn't get educated.
Neither of
They
these
knew
children.
stuff.
You what?
Neither of these children aren't getting educated.
A medieval peasant was actually capable of doing something
Fair.
that this lot aren't.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have basic numeracy.
Oh goodness
Yeah.
me! Yeah.
I've got 5 chickens, and how many eggs are they going to lay? A medieval peasant can figure
Well,
that
yeah,
out.
if each chicken
It's not
lays 3
fun.
eggs a day
Any
or 3 eggs a week or whatever,
Yeah.
then how many eggs do you have?
Anyway, we've gone over time again, but still, I did want to mention this straight after the last article. Over reliance on
Oh, no.
ADHD diagnosis drives rise in pupil support
Yeah.
plans. 140% surge in education, health, and care plans put financial strain on local authorities. This is another reason, by the way, councils are going bankrupt. It's because the government
Yes, it is.
makes them
It is.
pay for this stuff, and it involves like £600 to go taxis or whatever. Max Tempest goes through this all the time, but
There's the ADHD stuff is a massive rabbit hole, and there's another account called Lin-Manuel Rwanda on
I'm
Twitter
having to
who's
pay
done
for
some
my
threads
own-
on it.
does it exist?
Yes, but it's incurable and it's hard to diagnose. So it's,
Well, actual ADHD, yeah.
We're probably overdiagnosing it.
Well, yeah, no. The fact is that the medication that you take is effectively just you're treating the symptoms to get you through the day. I know because I've got some of it on my desk.
There you go.
And it also works absolute wonders for your stomach. So
yeah, like, are you overdiagnosing it if you can't really easily diagnose it in the first place, or is it just a personality trait?
Well, that's. I mean, a thing I think is absolutely horrible. Realistically, is that there's TikTokers whose whole thing is effectively glorifying having, well, ADHD and autism.
Oh, the neurodivergent, like flagging people,
and it's like, oh, you probably have ADHD if you leave your clothes on the floor. Basically, if you do all these things that lazy people do, like, you probably have ADHD. It's like, no, I don't have ADHD because I leave my clothes on the floor. I'm just lazy.
I mean, like the big one is boys who want to like run around rather than sit in school and just listen.
Yeah.
Oh, something's clearly medically wrong with
Sit down and study. Sit down and study. Yeah, I don't know enough about ADHD to comment really, but at the same time, kids can't do maths. There's also a massive amount of kids who have ADHD, and I'm seeing these fidget toys everywhere. I'm not being funny, but I fidget a lot. I think having a spinner would have ruined me.
Having one thing I will say actually is that there's kind of like there are multiple things happening which all seem. I think that the problem is that there are many different things that have the same symptoms, and one of them is, for example, the theory, which again I will butcher, but with ADHD, I think the general consensus I think is something along the lines of, there are like these receptors in the brain that once you have like a certain sort of excitement or sort of event, they will couple and they should release, but they don't release properly. That's kind of the sort of Cliff Notes version of it. Whereas I was going to say the other thing as well is that there are non-internal, like external things as well, which literally I think that as a kid, literally just growing up with the internet is going to exhibit the same symptoms. But that's not ADHD.
It's a bit like the autism thing. Like, yes, it is a real thing. Yes, we are overdiagnosing it, and also the real thing. So it's all these different things are all.
Yeah. Sorry, Harry.
Do you all know?
Sorry.
Do you know Coco Melon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone here know that.
Yes.
I know the name. I keep hearing it.
Yeah,
it's just a kid show.
It's this early childhood like video for like really young kids, and it's just basically singing nursery rhymes. But they go out of their way. They have massive focus testing, a whole massive team of people to make these things as mentally stimulating as possible for these very young children.
Yeah,
so like every color,
infants really.
Yeah, so all the colors are incredibly vibrant, and to like us old people, it's not so noticeable because our brains are sort of,
still sugar, right?
Yeah, but when you're like really these newborn infants, it's insane overload. Like every cut is less than 6 seconds, so it's always cutting.
Yeah.
So it's just it's like crack for these newborn.
Yeah, I've been talking about that a lot with my wife, and the example that she uses as the alternative is something like
sorry,
like if you go and watch the old Winnie the Pooh cartoons, they're very slow paced,
Yeah.
quite muted. The people talk slowly.
Whereas now it's like, I think I saw a TikTok that was like reviewing how bad it can be, and it's like, as you say, cut every 6 seconds just to sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 once I caught a fish alive. There's 4 characters in it. Every single one's doing something every
or
shot.
jumping. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're cooking the brains of these kids before they even have a chance.
Yeah, and so that's why they need Subway Surfer beside everything.
Yeah.
Like compare it. So, and I think we spoke about it recently in one of the streams, but there's like this always on sort of mentality where you just can't be bored. And this is the same for like adults as well. We just can't be bored. Even I made the point that like I'll listen to YouTube in the shower, and it's
I used to do
rather
that.
than just
I can't hear it anymore. But
I need to stop doing it.
It'll be the type of
And-
thing where I have a shower and then I'll be like, I'm drying myself and I don't have my phone. Oh God, what do I do? And I'm like, my brain needs to reconnect properly, man.
Cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying and laughing at the Guardian the other day, like, oh, I've not played games on my phone in like 2 months. I'm quite happy with myself. I deleted them during that stream, and I think I've actually worked harder this week than I have in months. So
Yeah, I deleted
Nice.
Twitter off my phone while I was on holiday.
yeah,
It was quite nice, to be honest.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Nice.
me, the YouTube would be the that would need to be the one that I got rid of, but
Mm.
I my addiction is true. It is there, but it is true. Like you get that point where you're trying to do something mundane. Say you're trying to get dressed or eat your breakfast or something, and it's taking twice as long because you're trying to find a YouTube doing it, and you think there's something horribly wrong with this. Because I remember when I was when I was a kid, because this is the other thing as well. I remember a time pre-internet, quite clearly, or at least pre-Google.
Yeah, same.
And when mobile phones were those like, actually I remember them slightly like pre-Nokia, the Nokia one that
Yeah.
everyone knows.
Yeah.
And I sort of think to myself, I kind of turned out quite fried, because in my 20s and 30s I spent a lot of time online. But I'm thinking, like, could you imagine being a preteen growing up with the yeah.
In early primary school, for like homework, I'd have to get out the encyclopedia.
I kind of
Right.
remember that.
God,
actually,
even I
like
had
when
to
you
do
actually
that.
had libraries.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than just a Google search, and now ChatGPT just does it for me.
It was
Yeah, I definitely feel like the boomers who moaning about Google now with ChatGPT, and I do see it all the time. People are just like, oh, I'll just check this, and then they'll search it on ChatGPT.
Oh, it's
And it just gives them the answer, and I'm like, could you not just have a conversation about it?
I can't help but feel very boomer coded, but I'm fed up of seeing all the someone makes a claim on Twitter at Grok. Fact
Oh
check
my
this.
god,
Oh
is
yeah,
this
I can't
Grok? Is
stand
this
it.
true?
Yeah.
What is that? Like, why is everyone suddenly doing that?
Because Grok replies effectively with a LLM.
Yeah, no, I know,
answer.
but like, I've seen it so much.
So, well, I mean,
like everyone's tweets.
It's people just fact checking. It's like I can't tell if this is true or not. Grok will just tell me.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fake stuff on Twitter.
Meme. Yeah.
Sometimes it is a meme. But
But again, but with AI, we're seeing that they do lie, knowingly lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
did you see Carl's video on it actually?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's very, very good and very worrying.
Yeah.
But
They lie. They refuse to turn off. Like, we don't know what this AI is going to do next.
Well, that's the point.
yeah, it's worrying. But I guess there's also, strangely enough, less point worrying because there's so little you could actually do about it.
Yeah.
I guess I go back to my initial point, which is that the one thing that you can do is choose what you're going to do about it.
Delete your
are
phone
you
games.
going to rely on it?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Delete your phone games.
No, I'm doing my dailies.
The only
I
thing,
literally am just doing my dailies.
literally the only thing I use the large language models for, Grok for, is to come up, to title my video, make a description, and make the tag list, because it just saves like half an hour of the video making, and I'm trying to fit it all in a lunch hour. I mean, it's
fair.
very helpful.
I mean, I should clarify. I don't feel that you need to make an excuse for it. I'm just saying that again, like,
but I
you're
do.
making
I feel so uncreative.
But
Did
yeah, sorry there.
I was just thinking, did you not jump on social media quickly, like MySpace?
No.
I didn't have anything until Facebook.
I
had Vampire Freaks. Who remembers that one?
I don't. My sister made my Facebook profile when I was 12, and I never touched it till I was 16. I just did not care, and I didn't have Twitter till I was about 20.
I've never really engaged with that. Like at school, people would say, "Oh, you got MySpace or Facebook," and just nope. And go,
Yeah.
oh, but how do you know what's going? I don't care.
So
I don't care that you're eating a sandwich.
I,
Tharium, that's
you
called
know?
autism.
Well, I'm
Maybe.
not shocked by that. Anyway, I think we are done for today. We went on nearly 45 minutes longer than I wanted to, but oh well. We had lots of good conversation, so I'm not too mad about it. I'd
I
like
blame
to.
communism personally.
Well, quite. I would very much like to thank the panel for coming on. So thank you, Tharium, Cero, and Joz.
Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
having us.
You're very welcome.
There you go. Right. Thursday it's Subnautica on my channel. Next Tuesday it's Tosh Talks. Don't know what the topic is yet. Personally, I'm hoping for that Dominic Cummings one. So we'll probably see Joz again next week because he loves Dominic Cummings.
Probably not, but yes, I
wow.
might listen. I might listen for
Boo.
once.
Boo. Quite. And then it's Subnautica again after that on Thursday, and then Laughing at the Guardian. Right, videos out on my channel as and when I can make them. You're guaranteed one tomorrow, so do look forward to that.
Did you end the stream?
No,
It
Just
doesn't
the
show you're
Discord.
live. Okay.
Discord.
it's yeah. Yeah. No, I closed the window. Anyway, obviously, I should really start saying this at the beginning. Become a member, super chat, super thanks, etc., etc. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Right. Thank you very much for being involved, chat, and giving us the up-to-date fact checks. You're basically our live grok. Right. With that, thank you all very much.